My fellow Virginians, in 1776, the American spirit was let free. A spirit of freedom, a spirit of liberty, a spirit of prosperity. And that American spirit was inscribed in the most important document ever written in this hemisphere. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among them are, and you all know this, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Virginians, Americans, the American spirit is alive and well. I had a friend who once told me that all roads lead through Hampton Roads. Well, let me tell you, North Carolina, you're about right too, because you are here and you're about to help elect Donald J. Trump into the White House. But yes, all roads do lead through Hampton Roads, and Joe Biden's road to retirement is going right through Hampton Roads. My friends, it is time to elect strength back into the White House. And in just a few minutes, let's join together and welcome the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. God bless you. Thank you.
To rest, gonna go to the place that's the best. When I lay me down to die, going up to the spirit in the sky, going up to the spirit in the sky. It's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Prepare yourself, you know it's a must. Gonna have a friend in Jesus. So you know that when you die, it's gonna recommend you to the spirit in the sky.
From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, I believe that we're going to have 4 of the greatest years in the history of our country. I will once and for all secure our elections. We're going to go to paper ballots. We're going to have same-day voting, voter ID. We're going to do it properly. We're going to have good, secure, beautiful elections. We never want what happened in 2020 to happen again. But until then, Republicans must win. And we must use every appropriate tool available to beat the Democrats. They are destroying our country. Whether you vote early, absentee, by mail, or in person, we are going to protect the vote. That's the most important thing we have to do, is protect the vote. Keep your eyes open, because these people want to cheat, and they do cheat. And frankly, it's the only thing they do well. We will make sure your ballot is secure and your voice is heard. Many Republicans like to vote on Election Day, and we must swamp the radical Democrats with massive turnout on Tuesday, November 5th. The way you win is to swamp them. If we swamp them, they can't cheat. It just doesn't work out. But if you can't make it, you need to make a plan, register, and vote any way possible. We got to get your vote. So with your vote, we will win a victory the likes of which no one has ever seen before. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. and we will take back our country on November 5th, 2024, the most important day in the history of our country. That's what it's going to go down as. Thank you.
And what a great, great speech there by President Trump there, sharing information about election security. He was saying paper ballots, voter ID, same day voting. Obviously, election security, a huge, huge deal, as we know. So going into our November 2024 election, some 130 days from today, 130 days until Election Day. So that was President Trump there on that video. Prior to that, Governor Glenn Youngkin with a rousing speech. And then Hung Cao, a great job there, as well as he's running for United States Senate. So wonderful speakers there in the pre-program. That started at 1:30 Eastern, as you see on your screen there. 3 o'clock will be when President Trump takes to the stage. It is 20 minutes until then, so we'll see if it's right on the nose for that. Sometimes a little bit early, sometimes a little bit late, but regardless, as you see, the Patriots are ready to go. In Chesapeake, Virginia, this is team coverage, Right Side Broadcasting Network. Obviously, Vanessa Broussard, as you've seen today, and Nikki Stanzione live there on the ground interviewing great Patriots and people that just love their country and love President Trump. Some people there never have seen a Trump rally before, so they're in for a good show, of course, at 3 o'clock. And this is pretty awesome as well because, you know, Vanessa was referring to this a few times, that this is a post-debate rally. This is the first time President Trump is speaking publicly since yesterday's very interesting debate that we saw where Donald Trump did a fabulous job. Even if I was, you know, whatever side of the aisle, right? If I was on right or left, whatever, Donald Trump did a great job. Joe Biden did a terrible job. I'm preaching to the choir. But at the end of the day, the polls show that President Trump won that debate by far. A lot of the microphones being clipped or cut off, you know, that's a lot of censorship going on there as well. So it really wasn't, in my opinion, an actual debate. There wasn't a lot of back and forth going on. So anyway, as you can see there, some people enjoying the music. Always a fun time at a Trump rally, a Trump event, taking photos and interacting with other patriots and just like-minded people of the country that simply want the same thing the people of the majority of the people of Brazil and other countries out there. They want freedom. So we're all part of the free world here. And of course, leading the way is the leader of the free world. And in my opinion, and I know in many of yours, is Donald J. Trump, even though he's not technically at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But we do know there is a job opening there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for November 5th. Once again, 130 days from now. There's a couple things I want to get to before we thank some of our sponsors, and then we'll be throwing it right back out there to Chesapeake, Virginia with Vanessa Broussard and also Nikki Stanzione. One thing I wanted to share with you is a quote from Donald J. Trump in Truth Social just last week. It's something he's been recorded saying before, but it's a very powerful quote that I think that goes beyond everything, right? In the sense of being an outsider. He said, quote, treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world and make a real and lasting difference, end quote. As we see, President Trump, when he took to the stage back in the RNC in 2016 and then became the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, he wasn't one of the same old politicians. Obviously, there's a small percentage of so-called politicians, if you want to call them that. In my opinion, they're MAGA. They're MAGA Republicans. They're America Firsts. And that's a great thing to be a MAGA Republican. It's a great thing to be MAGA Independent, if you want to be, whatever, but MAGA Republican, right? The point is that he wasn't the same old politician. He stepped in there, and that's why we resonated with him, and we still do to this day. And that's what the bar has now been set to any candidates running for office. I know I keep bringing up Hung Cao. He is a retired Navy captain, brought up in a different country where communism was the way. And he's here, so glad to be here. And on top of that, running for U.S. Senate in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So I always talk about freedom because this is what this is all about, right? No teleprompter right now, just speaking from my heart here for you guys. 3 o'clock, President Trump will be taken to the stage. Now, there's some developing news from rsbnetwork.com. One of the Supreme Court's most highly anticipated opinions, Fisher versus the United States, was handed down today. So it's likely upending the federal prosecutions of more than 350 January 6th defendants and at least a portion of special counsel Jack Smith's prosecution of President Trump. In a 6-3 decision, the court ruled that the 3-judge panel on the D.C. Circuit erred when it reinstated a charge for obstructing an official proceeding against Boston police officer Joseph Fisher. So that's on rsbnetwork.com. So for some of the latest news when it comes to that decision, once again, it was likely upending the federal prosecutions of more than 350 January 6 defendants and at least a portion of special counsel's Jack Smith's prosecution of President Trump. So a lot of news developing within that framework. And then earlier in the broadcast, as we mentioned, the Biden-Harris camp says that Joe Biden's not going anywhere, basically, that he's going to be debating on September 10th against President Trump. We'll see if that actually happens. We'll see if he's actually the nominee. But at the end of the day, he is right now. And there are people speaking on both sides about that. But what we are seeing is that he is still the nominee and will be through to the election. Again, September 10th, that on ABC, 72 days from now, will be the debate between Mr. Biden and the president, President Donald Trump. It was interesting yesterday to hear Jake Tapper call President Trump president instead of former president. I know we heard former president a lot. But again, back in the day, think about it, before President Trump took office, whenever there was an outgoing president or a president that was not in office anymore, you'd always, by respect, call them President Clinton or President Bush or President Obama, whatever, right? But you should also call President Trump out of respect of the office, out of respect for the American people who voted him in 2016 and in 2020. So what we're seeing is in 2024, we're hoping for this country to be restored and the Constitution to be the law of the land. So as we take a live look at the Chesapeake, Virginia there, producers, I'm going to put the IFB back in. Hopefully programming is not in the ear here, but we do want to thank some of our great sponsors as well. The Birch Gold Group, if you caught that interview earlier with Philip Patrick with the Birch Gold Group, very straight up. I mean, you can get this info kit, whether it's this hard copy right here, or you can get the digital copy by getting one on text message. First, you have to text Trump to 989898. You know, these BRICS nations. So BRICS is basically, what it stands for is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, right? There are other countries that are trying to, decrease the value of the US dollar. So having a little bit of peace of mind within that whole framework. I mean, the dollar's still around, obviously, but gold and silver and precious metals are awesome to have as a backup plan. So whether that's for a 401k or a tax-sheltered IRA, all you got to do is go to Trump, text Trump to 989898. You can get that free info kit. Whether you're ready to do that right now or not, in the sense of put some cash into hard-earned, gold and silver and precious metals, at least get the info kit. At least text Trump to 989898. Get the information ready as we move on to one of our other sponsors as well, the Wellness Company. This emergency kit that you can have at your house and you can have in your car, you can have at your workplace, has amoxicillin, ivermectin, Z-Pak, and more. All you got to do is fill out a prescription kind of medical form with the folks there at makecaregreatagain.com. Use that promo code RSBN for that 15% off as well. So yeah, I mean, finances and health, two very important things, two important sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As we take another live look there in Virginia, I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was talking about the key swing states, but before we get to the key swing states, we're going to take a quick break. I'm Matthew Alvarez here live at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back out there live soon. We'll be right back.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I'm the host of the Let It Be Heard show here on RSBN channel. I would love for you guys to check me out. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, YouTube. We release episodes every single week regarding culture, Bible, social issues, politics, current events, anything. So if you're into any of that stuff, I highly recommend you check me out. God bless you guys, and stay safe out there.
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale. And here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My Slippers and Sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media.
Good afternoon, everybody. What's going on? It's your boy, Provoked Thoughts. I want to jump in real quick and say hello. Hello to those who are watching right now. Of course, I'm still kind of high from the debate last night. You know, they're trying their best to spin it, you know, whatever they're trying to do. But at the end of the day, nothing's happening. He sucks. He's old, and he needs to go ahead and, you know, he couldn't even make it down one stair by himself, so he needs to go ahead and try it again. It's crazy. But we'll get back into it. You know, I'm going to be a little bit quiet because, you know, of course, when it comes to rallies, I need for us to hear our president. So we'll go ahead and keep it moving.
Welcome back here at the Right Side Broadcasting Network studios. I believe you're taking a live look right now at Chesapeake, Virginia. We're going to get right back out there in just a second. Wanted to share with you, of course, the 7 swing states right now. The polls are in favor of President Trump. We've seen all around, even in some cities that you'd think would be blue, you have people showing up for President Trump. The other day at a roundtable in Atlanta, then the Philadelphia event, then the Bronx, right? Then the People's Convention and the speech and the Trump campaign event in Detroit. We're seeing it all across the country. So it's kind of preaching to the choir that he's doing well, right? Before I toss it back out there to the field, I was talking about Virginia before and how my wife and I went to Jamestown about 3 or 4 months ago. And it was just interesting to be there. The English settlers, 1607, the first settlers to ever come to that state there in the country. And we used to live up near Gettysburg. And just one of the other things I wanted to read real quick was part of that Gettysburg address, because obviously Governor Youngkin was referring to a speech as well. And it just made me think about the Gettysburg Address, where I actually was able to go up there to Gettysburg. If you've been there, I'm sure many of you have. but you can go where Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address. And this patriotism that I'm sharing with you right now, have I been like this for years? No. I definitely loved being in this country, but I also didn't know what was going on back in 2000 or 2001. We saw with 9/11 and that kind of thing. But my point is, in college, you know, you think about, you know, we're in America, everything's good, you know, life's all right, you know. But now when we see what's happened to our country, it has birthed kind of a desire for me, and I know for many of you, and including my family and friends, like for our country, right? So I just want to read this part of the Gettysburg Address towards the end. We take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln, November 19th, 1863. It's just wild to be there in Gettysburg to see that. So if you ever get a chance to go to Gettysburg, you can actually stand right where he delivered that speech. There's only one photo. It's actually the memorial is there where the speech was, right? It says about, you know, half a mile from this location. Well, I'm not somebody that just stops there. I want to go and be where it happened, right? And you can do the same thing. It's in a cemetery that's right across from the area where there's a plaque, and it has a little picture, and it shows Abraham Lincoln in that crowd. What a time there. Gettysburg National Park. All right. So yeah, so I'm from Pennsylvania. So it's just wild to think about all the things that happened in that great state, from Philadelphia with Independence Hall, and then Gettysburg and other things that have happened there, of course. So we're going to be tossing it back to Chesapeake, Virginia there. Obviously one of the original 13 colonies. But President Trump getting ready to speak there at 3 o'clock. Let's send it back to Vanessa Broussard and Nikki Stanzione live right now.
The studio. We are certainly living it up here at the incredible Trump rally here in Chesapeake, Virginia. It is such a gift to be able to celebrate true patriotism with so many happy patriots today. I do want to say, if there's one thing we can say about President Trump, it's that he was right about everything. And I will tell you that there is actually a hat, a really, really cool hat, a red hat. It's the Trump was right red hat. It is $40. It is the official Trump campaign hat made in the USA. It's got the high crown. I'd like to wear it right now on this bad hair day. It's structured. It's got cotton twill, a plastic snap closure, and a curved bill, which is always flattering. But this is the thing. Due to high demand, this is the problem. When we have such high demand on something that's limited, shipping could be delayed. So you do want to make sure you get yours as soon as possible. Just winred.com. winred.com. It's that easy. So I implore you to do so that you can have an official Trump campaign hat. I am enjoying every minute of this incredible experience. And for those of you who want to be here right now, there's a little wind. I know I'm doing that. It's one of those things where you can't really explain it unless you've been through it. And when you've actually been here, you get a perspective of how exciting it is to be in this kind of energy where everybody gets along, where everybody's just happy to be here, where nobody's fighting, nobody's getting angry at each other. Everybody's just hearing each other as true Americans with a purpose. And one of the purposes of this campaign, of course, is to eliminate the high taxes that we're dealing with across the USA right now. We heard President Trump last night talk about the tax credits. He also talked about no tax on tip, which is amazing. But, you know, if you're struggling with those back taxes or the unified returns, one of the problems is that the IRS is escalating conditions and collections, adding 20,000 new agents, and they're sending over 5 million collection letters to kick off 2024. It's very challenging. And in these challenging times, we have to turn somewhere. And your best defense is Tax Network USA. We're so glad to be able to share this with you. We don't want the IRS to take advantage of any of us. And with over 14 years of experience, you'll be able to have your best defense no matter what your tax issue. And Tax Network USA doesn't just negotiate, but they actually also protect your assets. So a lot of really important things that they're doing for us, and they're licensed to help you. That's important, but the clock is ticking, so you do have to get it done. Don't wait for the IRS to come through. Make the decision now and call 1-800-357-1415, 1-800-357-1415, or you can visit tnusa.com/RSBN. That's the network. So again, tnusa.com/RSBN. It's really important to protect our taxes, to protect the money that we earn and the money that we have. And then to have to keep paying taxes is very, very frustrating. So this is the way to go. Now, I will tell you, because you're hearing me in a microphone, you hear me nice and clear, but it is so loud and exciting. It's like being at a concert, and you can hear the soundtrack, you can hear the music behind me. And so if I am like, it's because I'm trying to talk over the music. It's Adele is playing right now. The soundtrack that President Trump aligns for these parties, and I call them parties because a party signifies a celebration. And we should celebrate that we are a part of the most incredible country in the world. And when we think about what we've gone through over these last 3.5 years, what are we going to do over the next 5 months? My goodness, that even seems like an eternity. But the good news is that help is on its way. We are all hopeful. And I want everyone who's out there right now watching to open your mind to the potentials of the possibilities of unity. Unity is such an important characteristic of this agenda on this campaign. And seeing more of that unity is going to change the dynamic and the trajectory of our country as we move forward for next generations to come. People always say you don't want to leave the generation ahead worse than what they saw before. You want every generation to have better than the next and better than the last. And that is why we need to see some change. And right now that change will come in the potential election of Donald J. Trump as the 47th president. Right now he's playing Hello, Is It Me You're Looking For by Lionel Richie. And you know what? I think he is what we're looking for. You know, it's interesting. Last night during the debate, I listened to a lot of the analysis after the fact, and you were hearing all of the pundits, the scholars, the lawyers, the campaigns, the networks, everybody on every side echoing the same sentiments, which was, are we now in a situation where we have a leader who's not able to lead? And I say able very, very intentionally, because physically, mentally, it's sad to see. It really is. And I don't want to comment too much on that. I want to comment on the hope that President Trump provides for the nation. And whether you love President Trump, maybe you were against him at one point, maybe you're contemplating how you feel about him, I just want you to know that at the end of the day, his entire agenda is really and truly about making us great again. When he said last night, I wanted you to be a good president. He said that to President Biden because ultimately he wants the country to be great, whether he's leading it or not. So I actually get very frustrated when people say that he's out for himself. If he was out for himself, he'd be playing golf every day. He'd be at one of his resorts, one of his hotels. He'd be wining and dining with his beautiful wife and family. He's extremely close to his children and his grandchildren. And he'd be with them all the time. And yet somehow he still finds time to squeeze that in as a priority. So my point being, he didn't take a salary. He didn't take a salary for this job, and he wouldn't take a salary for this job. He doesn't do it for the money. He doesn't do it for the notoriety. He's already the most famous man in the world. He does it because he loves his country, and he wants this country to come back to where it was. You know, a really wonderful analyst I was talking to last night, he's an attorney in New Jersey, Andrew Bronsnick. He said, Trump is upset because he built this momentum. He had this momentum going into the election, of 2020. He had this incredible momentum that he built as the president, and that momentum was taken away as all of the bills and all of the plans were abolished and really destructed by this current administration. And so now he wants to see his vision come back. He wants to see that vision for America that he built the momentum on to return once again. And I think what he did last night was paint a very stark contrast between one president and another. And it's up to you, the American people, to make that decision for yourself on November 5th. But I hope that we make the decision that will lead us to having greatness in this country, to having safety, to honoring our veterans, our military, and to honor all of the people who have come here legally. Our immigrants are what make us a country. We're a melting pot. It's beautiful, but you got to do it lawfully. That's the key, and that's the difference. I also want to just step away for a moment because I'd love for you to see all these crowds. I want you to see all these people. It is a packed house today. We are outside on this gorgeous day here in Chesapeake, Virginia. Everybody's pumped up, ready to see President Trump. It's exciting, and it's love all around. You know, he likes to call these events a love fest, and truthfully, that's what it is. It's a love fest of American patriots who want their country to be beautiful. You can see the flags flying. Everybody's dressed in their wardrobe for red, white, and blue, stars and stripes. I could never see tomorrow. And you know what? These people, like us, have been here since 8, 9 a.m., lined up. And you know what? They're happy to be here. They're not worried about the heat. They're not worried about waiting around. They're just excited and anticipation. And it's an exciting time for our nation. And right now, our country has a broken heart. Our country has been suffering financially. Our parents, grandparents are afraid to send the kids out into the world because, number one, they can't afford it. But number two, it's crime-ridden. There is no reason why any American citizen should be afraid to go jogging and getting a good workout with a walk and being afraid that they will be raped or murdered by an illegal migrant. It's absolutely appalling and unacceptable in this nation. And I know that President Trump is going to fight with everything he's got to make sure that the people who come here are vetted and the people that come here legally. That is what we need to see. We need to see that. It's heartbreaking to see the families of these children, of these parents, of these sisters and brothers who are brutally murdered by evil monsters. And I say that very candidly, brutal monsters. And what really I think is making the nation stand up and think differently is the fact that people like Alvin Bragg are letting them go. We saw the campus of Columbia University absolutely taken over with anti-Semitic remarks and hateful speech and breaking into the building. You want to talk about an insurrection? That was an insurrection. But as many of you probably know, last week, those criminals were released. They were let go. And yet you see what's going on in the justice system when it comes to President Trump because of saying that he overvalued property, things like that. It's a little bit confusing, isn't it? So I implore you to read the truth, learn the stories, learn the evidence, read the evidence, look at both sides, and then make an informed opinion. And don't judge or title or label people who think differently than you. The beauty of America is we can all think differently. I have many friends who think differently than I do. I love them just as much, and I respect them and their values. And I want all of us to start to remember that that's what makes America great. That being said, there's a lot of children out there that hear what they hear, but they don't really know what to believe. They're fed a lot of information on every level, and whether it be on the level of the election, whether it be about their sexuality, whether it be about anything in this world that we're dealing with right now with the children. I think one of the most important thing is that they're informed with the truth about President Trump, so they aren't swayed or persuaded by a narrative that might not be accurate. In my opinion, not accurate. The Free Trump book is a great way for the kids to learn. The best-selling kids guide to President Trump is available free to the viewers, which is lovely. All you have to do is pay shipping and handling. That's it. And sorry, I got very excited. The music is just so good. I want to also remind you guys that this guide for President Trump was updated for 2024. So it's an updated book. It's not surprising when you learn about all the things that we talked about going on in America right now. And because of it, more and more Americans are starting to align more with President Trump's policies. So as future voters, you kids out there need to learn more about these policies, and the best way to do it is to get this book, freetrumpbook.com. freetrumpbook.com. It's that simple. Just get the Free Trump book and you'll be able to teach your kids more about President Trump and his policies and what he aims to do for this incredible country of ours. It's a beautiful, beautiful day right now. I will tell you, as hot and humid as it is, I always say, I feel like I just got out of the gym. It's so hot and humid, and I don't even care. It is so wonderful to be here. It is such a gift. It's such a part of American history, and no matter what side of the line you are on, we are the Right Side Broadcasting Network, and we want you to get an experience and a perspective and see the joy, the acceptance, and the love that's here today. And you don't see any hate speech. You don't see any violence. You don't see any negativity. It's beautiful. And who wouldn't love that? Who could love that? And President Trump often will say, it's not about being conservative or being liberal. It's about common sense. It's that simple. I hope that you guys will follow me. I'm Nikki Stanzione. Go to Truth Social or Instagram and find me on Nick Stanz, Nikstanz. And you'll also want to go find my beautiful friend, Vanessa.
Hello, everyone.
Vanessa. I found Vanessa.
Yes, we found each other. You can follow me on social media at Vanessa on Truth Social. Also, I'm on Twitter, which is now X. You can follow me there. I am on Instagram. I'm on TikTok now. You'll hear me get excited when I bring TikTok because I was kind of anti-TikTok until President Trump came on board. But now I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of learning. So if you have any TikTok tricks or tips for me, let me know. I think that's it. So Truth, X, Instagram.
It's all the ways to find us.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, the thing is, we actually listen to the people. We care about what you feel and think and want. And so that's why we like to, it's not to be self-gratuitous. We do it because we want to be able to interact with you. I believe that President Trump loves this song.
Yes, he chooses the music for the rallies. We're told that this is his playlist that he chooses, and it's all wonderful, great music. President Trump coming on the heels of a wonderful debate last night. The people here are giving him an A+ on his debate last night with Joe Biden, and they're not giving a good grade to Joe Biden. I think the debate last night just reiterated, Nikki, what people here already knew, that Joe Biden is not fit to be president and President Trump is the best choice.
It's so true. And I have to say, I'm watching over your shoulder right now behind us. And you saw the crowd here. Behind, there are, swarms of people all huddled kind of together. And they're standing with their hands on their heart, listening to this song, Hallelujah. And it just tells you, people needed this. I feel like our nation needed this kind of togetherness, unity, this feeling. It inspires something. I've been to many rallies now, and I still get choked up. I still cry when I hear the Star Spangled Banner. I cry when I hear our national anthem. I cry when he comes out to make proud to be an American. There's something. This is what America's made of, and I want the whole country to get back to that.
And it looks like we're well on our way.
Yes.
If everything plays out how it's supposed to play out and legally and done correctly, that's exactly what will happen.
Yes.
We will have this embrace come November. But, looking at our country and looking at the people here, and we talked about the Bronx, and we talked about these these rallies in Detroit and places like that, no matter your color or your religion or your background, or if you're rich or poor or whatever the case may be, people want to be loved.
Yes.
They love each other. Hate is taught. And I feel like the left is full of hate. They like the divide. And that's not what anybody wants, no matter who you are or what background you're from. People want to be loved and to spread love. And I think we've hit almost a rock bottom to where people are like, no, we have to hold each other's hands, pick each other up. And we are the greatest country in the world. And we have to continue that. But the route we're on right now is going to learn into a train wreck disaster. So we have to detour and get back on track.
That is such a beautiful message. I'm so glad you said that, because it really resonates with me. I know it resonates with so many viewers right now. It's really enlightening, if you will, to see that we have more similarities than we have differences, no matter where you're from. To your point about the diversity that we're seeing on the campaign trail, in the inner cities, in the Bronx, in Philadelphia. I was telling some friends, I said, oh yeah, it was packed. I said, and I spoke to as many Black Americans, Hispanic Americans. I spoke to just as many as I did white Americans. And people were surprised. And I said, why are you surprised? This is a man for the people, not a man for whites, not a man for Blacks, not a man for Hispanic, a man for America, all America. Yes. And that's why we have to stop with the judgment.
Let's take a look right now. Here comes the motorcade. President Trump making his way, and the crowd goes crazy. You know, we're always facing you, but we hear the crowd, and when they make that exciting scream out for President Trump.
Oh boy.
Take a listen in.
Now, President Trump is very dramatic, but he will not be coming in on a motorcycle tonight. I don't think he's coming in on a motorcycle, but he will be coming in following the motorcycle.
And as we wait for President Trump, we want to remind you that the best way to invest in your future, we believe, we are firm advocates of the Birch Gold Group. If you are wanting to save for your kids, your grandkids, even yourself, your retirement, and if you're just struggling, wondering, I'm not saving like I used to, where do I go next? You can go to the Birch Gold Group. And look, if you only have a little bit to start off with, that's okay.
Yes.
They can help you out. So whether it's an IRA or 401k or just some money you want to invest and let them help you let that money grow, contact the Birch Gold Group. They can get you on the right track. Great group of experts, so polite to talk to on the phone. All you have to do is text the word Trump to 989898.
Do you remember when your extra money was for savings or things you wanted? Now your extra money is to help you pay for your needs.
Yeah.
So your necessities are covered. That's it. And then you're hoping you can just cover that much.
These days,
right?
Yeah. So that's where the Birch Gold Group comes in.
It's a
all
different
right.
time.
We are getting more excitement from the crowd.
Uh-oh. It's like watching Chips. So we're watching the motorcade coming on in. Everybody's getting very excited. I love seeing all the cars. Everyone's trying to guess which one is President Trump. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's President Trump in the motorcade? Which car? Can you guess?
And we're not done with the police escort. There are about over a dozen more behind him. And then more.
Oh.
It looks like more SUVs, police SUVs. But when President Trump comes in, he comes in with an entrance and he comes in with very good security. We love our law enforcement officers. We thank our law enforcement officers. We know that in some of these liberal cities, your hands are tied. If you're at the border, your hands are tied, and you just want to do your job, and that's protect this great country and our citizens and put the bad guys in jail and just bring back law and order. And this is what President Trump wants as well. And we know these law enforcement officers who protect him, protect us at these rallies. We thank them. They're also kind and nice and very helpful. So thank a police officer.
I feel like everybody's playing guessing games right now who's coming out of that motorcade. That looked a little like Lara Trump before. I wasn't sure if that was her, but it looked like her. I know she's certainly spending a lot of time on the campaign trail, not just because she is President Trump's daughter-in-law, but because she is now head of the RNC. By the way, we are only weeks out now, only weeks out on the RNC. I will tell you, that's pretty exciting when you think about how soon we are going to be approaching that. And also, something else I wanted to share with everybody is the fact that we don't have a healthcare system in this country right now. Vanessa was saying it earlier. We don't have a healthcare. We have a sickness care system, which is really sad that we have to think like that. But, you know, people are trying to make money off of bad health instead of trying to make money off of good health. And so what does this mean? We're seeing pharmaceutical companies literally making billions, not millions, billions with a B. And so big pharma needs you to be sick in order for you to rely on them. I mean, and that's just tragic in my opinion, because we should want everybody to be healthy, but they got to make their money, right? So you need them to protect you? No, I don't think so. I think what we need to do is we need to find a way to push back. And so the way that we do that is with the right president and with the right way to be able to listen to the right doctors. For instance, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Drew. I used to love watching all of Dr. Drew's interventions, right? He works so hard for people. And so they actually are really going to be preaching to everybody the importance of early intervention and treatment. This has been going on since 2020, and it's paramount. It's important. And so there is a kit that is prescription only.
Right.
You cannot find it anywhere else. You can't find it like in a pharmacy or in a drugstore. You just can't. So every American should have at least one of these kits in their home. If you order it, it'll take you less than 2 minutes. It's very easy. Go to makecaregreatagain.com. Makecaregreatagain.com. Use the code RSBN. RSBN is the code. When you use that code, well, actually, this is pretty good. You can get $45 off, which is wonderful, and free shipping. We love free shipping.
Oh yeah, does that? We know how much shipping is these days as well. So you're looking at good savings right there on MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Your emergency medical kit. So what's happening right now? President Trump is meeting with some of his supporters and donors in the back in that tent behind the stage there. But you can see the people are on their feet. They're standing on their chairs. They're ready to see President Trump, and they've been out here for a very long time, for hours, since the early morning hours, waiting out here in the heat.
I can't wait to hear the eruption and the roars. That's always my favorite part, is hearing everybody when they see him for the first time emerge and they hear the song. And everybody in that moment is so proud to be an American.
Yes, and it's just people ask me all the time, Nikki, what is it like? And I say, it never gets old.
No.
And when he walks out to that song, every single time it makes the hair stand up on your arms, and you just feel so patriotic, and the love for your country just expands in that moment. It's a wonderful moment, and to be here with people who think like you and love the country like you and love the Lord like you, and your faith and your freedoms and the Constitution, and just to be surrounded by tens of thousands of people who want the same thing you do. It's just a magical moment.
It is magical. That's a perfect word. And everybody that's watching right now, the thing that's so nice about RSBN, and before I had the privilege of working with you, I would watch our rallies because I felt like I was there. Even though I wasn't live in person, it brought the experience home to me. So I hope that is how you feel right now. That's our goal, is to bring the experience back to you so that you can feel like you are a part of this experience in this moment. And I'll tell you, every time that we go to any of these rallies, especially a day like this after the debate last night, it reminds me that even if it's just a small part, we are a part of American history.
Yes, we are. All right. We are going to send it back over to Matthew Alvarez in the studio. Hey, Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Vanessa and Nikki. I mean, what a great moment out there as you guys are live, and the music is perfect. As you saw, President Trump just arriving there right behind that stage as thousands of people get ready to hear President Trump do his thing. And he obviously is ready to go, because yesterday's debate obviously did a great job. But this time he has an opportunity now, the first time since the debate, to be able to share with the American people his thoughts on yesterday. Let's see how he comes out. I mean, is he going to come out bashing Biden? I don't know. You know, at various Trump rallies, as you guys have seen, it's been happening a lot, where, you know, he's going to say crooked Biden or crooked Joe or sleepy Joe, that kind of thing. I mean, he'll even do sometimes the polls, the live polls with the audiences right there, saying which one do they like better, sleepy Joe or crooked Joe. But at this point, the wisdom that was seen yesterday by President Trump, you know, obviously President Trump could have said a lot more, I think, yesterday, but I think it he was perfect with how it all was handled. But at the end of the day, we know that the Biden camp is saying that Joe Biden is planning on staying in the 2024 presidential race, at least until September 10th, which is the next debate. That's on ABC. That's 72 days from now. So obviously a lot can happen from now until then in the sense of decision making. There are people on either side saying that he's going to get replaced. And then there's some people saying, no, he's sticking through. So we're going to see what happens there. Before we get to some more commentary and before we send it back out there live to Chesapeake, Virginia, once again, it is Rally Day here on Friday. Happy Friday to those of you watching in Virginia and anywhere in the country and in some places around the world. Tax Network USA, we've got to thank our sponsor and our friends there, Tax Network USA. If you've got any filing issues or you missed the April 15th deadline and you're concerned about IRS and other things, all you got to do is reach out to them, 800-357-1415. They'll come alongside you. They'll work with you to take care of the filing and also any back taxes, whether that was for tax year 23 or 22 or even back to 18. They will be there for you. So use a promo code once you get there to that website there. It's /RSBN, as you see, tnusa.com/RSBN. Settle your back taxes today. Meantime, back here live in Alabama and also live to the north of us in Virginia, Chesapeake, Virginia. It's been quite the day of coverage today for you. We started at 9 a.m. Eastern. It's now 3:26 Eastern, so a full day of coverage for you. As you've seen, President Trump pulled up there behind the stage in his security detail and campaign staff. And then, of course, Vanessa Broussard and Nikki Stanzione holding down the fort there live in Virginia with some awesome points that they're bringing up, and also interviewing some great patriots in that area. So Virginia right now, 13 electoral votes is what that state has up for grabs come November 5th, some 130 days from today. So how will President Trump come out? What would he say today after, on the heels of this debate? Will he have, will he go bashing Biden, or will he stick to Agenda 47 and still be comical at times? He has awesome, great, serious points that he makes on a constant basis. So obviously, thank you so much for joining us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 27 after the hour. I know a lot of you thought he would be speaking at 3. Well, obviously him flying all across the country and all of the different people to meet, and a lot of surrogates there in Virginia. You heard from some of them earlier today on the pre-program at 1:30. Governor Glenn Youngkin was one of them. Hung Cao was another one who's running for U.S. Senate, and a number of other speakers. So as he says hello to them, he'll be coming out there to the crowd there in Virginia. And it's great to be able to bring you live coverage from the beginning of the show this morning where there were people. I mean, if you rewind, or I know I'm using some VHS terms right there, but if you scrub back on Rumble or on YouTube or wherever you're watching, you can see at the beginning of this event that there were just people waiting hours and hours and hours in advance. That right there is the truth. That right there, you can't hide it. It's the people right there. That's not an altered image. That is a live photo, a live video from Chesapeake, Virginia, showing all of these people there right now at 3:28 Eastern time as we await President Trump to take the stage there. This on the heels, of course, of the debate. And then recently, if you watched RSBN's coverage of an Atlanta Black American roundtable the other day, Representative Wesley Hunt, Byron Donalds, Dr. Ben Carson, a number of great people, great patriots there discussing various things about the President Trump's vision for the economy and for Black Americans. And regardless, you know, it's interesting. You hear on the news people trying to pin everybody against each other, whether it's Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern, whatever. There's no reason to be pinned against each other. The left wing desires that. But at the end of the day, if you love God, or if you love freedom, or if you are loving the Constitution, usually all of those are loved by everyone. We're on the same team here. And so the Trump campaign is seeing an increase of polling for people across this land. So listening to the left-wing media try and spin it any other way is quite ridiculous. They've been lying and lying and lying constantly to you. And so having conservative media now with the power of God, let's be real, and the power of we the people, and then also the power and strength as from Donald Trump. Think about it. Like, again, we didn't know about fake news until he took to the stage and really coined that word or that phrase, right? And so now everybody's like, you know, calling a false report or a spun report for years. Sitting at anchor desks and reporters and correspondents. Ooh, you're a national correspondent for X, Y, and Z liberal network. Big deal. That sounds like a liar to me. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it either. You know, I've worked in the mainstream media before, and very glad to be out here for Right Side Broadcasting Network. So speaking of people that are doing that, Vanessa Broussard and Nikki Stanzione out there live. Going to be a great time there as you see the Patriots geared up, ready to go, having a great time, listening to that music, a nice calm breeze there on this Friday afternoon. Once again, I'm Matthew Alvarez here live at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We saw some pretty cool rallies pretty recently too, up in Wisconsin the other day with the gorgeous bay right there, Lake Michigan, to this right here in Virginia. So we're going to send it back out to Chesapeake, Virginia with Nikki Stanzione and Vanessa Broussard. Thank you so much for watching Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll have some sponsors to talk about and also some closing commentary right after President Trump exits the stage. But before that, we're waiting for him to take the stage here at 3:31 Eastern time. Let's send it back there to Virginia right now.
All right, we are just moments away from President Trump coming out, and the music is great, and we are just having a wonderful time out here in
Once you hear Elvis playing, you know
Virginia.
Someone else is almost in the building.
Yes.
They used to say Elvis has left the building. Now it's President Trump has entered the arena.
Yes, the
So,
man in the
this is
arena.
it.
Well, we're actually on a farm, so
Yes,
the man on the farm is here. So, so you can see everyone is on their feet. Everyone's excited. We are in the mid-90s here in Virginia, and these people have been standing out here all day. They're hot, but they don't care.
Everyone's
They are
dancing.
excited. Yes, they are very excited to see President Trump. They're really focusing on today's SwampTheVoteUSA.com. SwampTheVoteUSA.com. That's a way for you to get involved. It takes 30 seconds online. Swamp the Vote. Request your mail ballot. Update your voter registration. Pledge to vote early in person today. Again, it only takes 30 seconds. SwampTheVoteUSA.com. They're also really pushing Trump Force 47. TrumpForce47.com. Check out that website. These are all campaign websites to really get you involved and motivated in your community, in your hometowns, in your cities, and just really get everybody around you involved. So go ahead and check out those websites, and if you want to, and get involved today for those elections. So yeah, a big party here the day after the debate.
I'm watching people right now doing the dance moves. They're doing Elvis dance moves. It's very cute. Everybody's pumped up. It's exciting. It's fun. It's exhilarating. And, you know, I also think about the energy that's required of that job called president. And we talked earlier about President Biden needing a week off just to study for a debate. But you think about President Trump. He was on last Saturday afternoon, Washington, D.C., Saturday night, Philadelphia, back in Florida Sunday, all over the country all week long, back in Atlanta last night, back in Virginia today. I mean, he does not stop. His energy level is incomparable. It's like Superman. And that's the man that we want leading this nation. Someone who has endless, countless, unbelievable energy. It's so important for a job like this.
You know, when he walks into the room, you know it. When he walks on that stage, you'll know it. President Trump just has this air about him and this persona about him. Like, he is just, you know when he's there. You know when he enters the room.
He's in the ring of fire.
He is. And so there's not a lot of President Trumps. I don't think there's ever been a President Trump or anyone like him. He has started this MAGA movement that the country has never seen before and may never even see again. But the MAGA movement is historic. And, you know, I asked people, Nikki, in their 70s and their 80s, in your lifetime, have you seen anything like this? And immediately, without thinking, they say, no. I have never in my lifetime. I have lived through many presidents, and they say, I've never seen anything like this or even close to this movement that's taking over the country.
It's like going to a rock concert with a legend. I mean, if you go to certain rock concerts, it's the exact same feeling. I try to tell that to people. And, you know, when they try to divide us or they label it like a cult or what have you, I say, you know what? This is about a collective group of Americans who are so amped up with excitement and really, truly just peace. Everybody gets along. It's wonderful. And when you see this kind of excitement, you have to wonder what will happen when this election is over. We're going to miss this because it's like it's like a tour, like a world tour, but in our nation. It's our nation's tour of our president. And I don't want the tour to end. I want it to continue into the presidency, right to the White House. That's what we need to see.
Yes, it's going to be a interesting ride going into November and then, of course, into January's inauguration. But it's like you said, you don't want it to end. I'm so ready for November, but at the same time, I am enjoying meeting the people all over the country.
Oh, yes.
People, Nikki, that are friends now who have met, who I would have never met if it wasn't for this election cycle. And America really does have great people living in it. And don't listen to the mainstream media tell you any different. They want to tell you the negativity. They want to divide you. And when you come to these events, it's a complete opposite. Like there's love.
Yes.
In the air. There's love in the air. And you can feel it.
And you make, like you said, you make lifelong friends that you'll have forever. And it's wonderful to share that experience. And I say to the people out there who are having any kind of divisiveness with friends because they think differently, I encourage you to just open your heart, open your mind, and just listen to different perspectives so that you can talk it out, talk things through. Don't just immediately make a decision of what you believe until you hear things out. I do the same thing with both sides because I think it's important to be able to speak my opinion. I need to be informed. And I think that's a wonderful lesson for all of us. I also think it's interesting. You know, one of the things that we've noticed, as analyst Andrew Bronsnick said to me, he said, it's important to recognize the stark difference and the stark comparison that President Trump made last night with President Biden by not only illuminating his incredible ability mentally, but also how he is in real life, not just on the political side of things, how he will run the country, how he will be as a political figure, but as a human being, physically and mentally. And that's what we saw last night. And we need to see energy back in the White House. And we need a macho man, right?
Yes, Macho Man playing here in Chesapeake, Virginia. We are looking at temperatures in the 90s. Now, just to remind you, they're saying that Virginia is Trump country, that Virginia is in play. Now, a Republican presidential candidate has not won this state since 2004, but the Trump campaign and all of these people feel like that's all going to change here in 2024. Governor Glenn Youngkin was here earlier.
Oh, yeah.
He spoke. If you missed that, you can go back online and replay that after this broadcast ends. The crowd loved it when he was on stage. They were on their feet for Governor Youngkin, who has been here in office in Virginia for 2 years as the governor. When it comes to November, Nikki, 13 electoral votes are up for grabs here in Virginia. So President Trump is hoping for a big win here. So reminder, a programming note for everyone at home. We will be covering the RNC in July. So that's coming up. We also have President Trump's sentencing is set for July 11th. Now,
that's going to be interesting.
Say that again.
You said July 11th?
July 11th.
Yes. I'll be there in New York City. And we're just all praying a lot.
Yes, we're hoping for the best, but you know what? It's a Democrat city with a Democrat judge and Democrat DA, so you just don't know what's going to happen there. Then in August is the Democrat National Convention. Now we are hearing rumors that even after last night that the Democrats will try to put another candidate in place because even they're admitting Joe Biden is not fit to be president. But the Trump campaign issued some tweets out last night saying at this point it's almost nearly impossible for them to switch out a candidate. So we'll see. You know, they always have something up their sleeves, we believe. And so we'll just see what happens as we near the finish line. We're almost to July, and November will be here before we know it. Will it be Joe Biden as the incumbent running, or will they try to sneak someone in? Again, the Trump campaign says that's almost nearly impossible to do at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah, you know, you hear a lot of the political pundits last night scrambling. There was a nervousness in the air about what are we going to do now, and it is sad and it's hard to see in our country. But right now, we need to figure out what's going to propel us to move forward. And we on this side, you know, of course, are super excited for President Trump to take the stage tonight, but also to take the stage of the world stage by being in charge, leading from the White House. On the other side, we have to wonder, what is the plan? Has there been a plan all along? Was this an expose, if you will, last night, so that it would be simpler to change the game? Or was it a devastation that was unexpected and frightening, and now they're in trouble? So we don't know. We won't know. Everything is kind of a little secretive right now, but we will find out soon enough. And in the meantime, we urge you to register to vote. Make sure you get registered and just get informed. That's the goal. Get informed. I like what you said about Governor Youngkin. He was here earlier, really getting the crowd excited. He has so many amazing plans for the state of Virginia. He talked a little bit about the history of Virginia and the founding fathers in Virginia and what this state means to the nation. And he wants to see the state prosperous again. He wants gas prices down, as we all do. And really, I think as a nation, there are so many similar values that we all encompass, no matter what side we're on. And we need to find a way to get those resolved before it's too late and there's no coming back.
You're absolutely right. All right, just minutes away now from President Trump taking the stage. We have a break in the music, so it could be happening any second now.
Oh, boy.
I mean, we have more music, but the crowd is starting to chant for President Trump. We want you to get a good idea of what it feels like out here. So listen to the sights and sounds as people are on their feet here in Chesapeake, Virginia. Not even 24 hours after President Trump and President Joe Biden met face to face in a debate on CNN. Now, President Trump will take the stage to address Virginia here any minute. Enjoy the sights and sounds.
Every age group. Closer. President Trump is expected any minute now, so stand by. He will be joining us in just a moment, and in the meantime, we're enjoying the beautiful sights of this gorgeous farm. It's so much fun, and it's historical, which is lovely. Away, and we hear the voice of Elvis saying glory, glory, hallelujah, and everybody is getting really excited. So much fun.
Thank you. You're fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Safe, everything is protected, and we're always surrounded by the police, by the Secret Service, and President Trump often will use his own money to employ additional law enforcement at a lot of different locations to make sure that safety is number one and is always paramount, which is wonderful. I love seeing the flags flying to the music. There's something very touching about that and almost coordinated. Here it comes.
Deuteronomy, just before dawn,
Scoping the area.
you feel you could cut with a knife. And now says the cat, who can now be reborn and come back.
You know, you look around at the crowd and you see people of all ages. You see the young, the old. You see people of all races. You see people from all over the country coming in. A lot of people follow him to a lot of rallies. A lot of people here, it's their first time to see President Trump. Everyone's excited. They're happy. They're waiting in the heat. And every time, Nikki, that the song plays out and a new song comes on, they go, oh, because they thought that that might be the one where he comes out next. So they've been waiting a long time to see President Trump here today here on the East Coast as we are at 3:48 p.m. Eastern time. We know he's in the back talking to sponsors, people who donate. Not sure what's going on with the crowd right now, but
The meaning of what happiness is.
You know,
they turned around and started booing someone.
Yeah, somebody probably wasn't being excited like all of us. Somebody, you know, it's amazing. You see thousands and thousands and thousands of people happy, getting along, promoting positivity, and then you get one or two people who are the bad actors who come in and they just want to cause trouble, and it's so rare, but it's so few and far between. And thankfully we have an incredible law enforcement here in Virginia, as we do in every city in America, protecting everybody and making sure that everything is safe, not just for President Trump but for his supporters.
Yes, we love our law enforcement officers. We love the military. And then also, you know, we had a surrogate who spoke earlier in the pre-show, Hung Cao, who is running for Senate here in Virginia. And he is a Navy veteran. So very thankful for him and his service. He is Trump endorsed, and he endorses Trump himself. So if you're in Virginia watching right now, Trump endorsed candidate Hung Cao here today and got a huge standing ovation from the crowd. Okay, so we are going to let you listen in as we wait for President Trump. Again, we're told from the Trump team, just got a message. It could be any minute now. So stick with us here from Chesapeake, Virginia.
Love it.
The next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly.
Of course, y'all know we got to pause that because I will not be getting blocked. It's not going to happen.
To be an American,
So we got Trump coming off of a rocket victory. Oh, that was amazing.
next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless
It's a beautiful scene, man. Let's go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Virginia. Did anybody last night watch a thing called The Debate? That was a big one. But as you saw on television last night, we had a big victory against a man that really is looking to destroy our country. He's the worst. He's the most corrupt, the most incompetent president in the history of our country. And we have to take it back from that party. That's an evil party, despite the fact that crooked Joe Biden spent the entire week at Camp David resting, working, studying. He studied very hard. He studied so hard that he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He got the debate rules that he wanted. He got the date that he wanted. He got the network that he wanted with the moderates he wanted. No amount of rest or rigging could help him defend his atrocious record. It's not defensible. I don't care who you were. You could be the late, great Clarence Darrow. Has anyone ever heard of Clarence Darrow? He was known as quite a good debater. Not as good as your governor, but that's okay. Hello, Governor. I can't miss this guy in the crowd. But his son's much better looking than him. Joe Biden's problem is not his age. It's not his anything, really. He's got no problem other than it's his competence. He's grossly incompetent. You know, they keep saying old. I know people that are much older than him that are doing unbelievable things, making a fortune. I knew a man that at 79, he was never a success, and he made $1 billion and a half from 79 to 92. And that's what it is. It's not his age. It's his competence. He's not respected anywhere in the world. Our country is being laughed at all over the world. Biden is using the weaponization of his Justice Department, the FBI, local district.
How we doing today?
Pretty good. So real quickly, is that Sunday? Is that something that you can do? That seems a good opportunity to make some extra money.
Oh man, I do church on Sundays. And it's like all day event.
Okay.
I go to one of those old school churches.
Okay.
All right. If I could, I would. How did you like my synopsis on the telemarketer calls?
Yeah. So you basically confirmed what we thought. So I met with 2 vendors today over caller ID protections.
Right.
And I'm going to be doing I'll be doing a report and meeting on TJ about it. And basically there's three major credit agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3 major ones: Hyatt, TSN Mobile, and
opponent that happens to be me. Do you know who I am?
Basically,
something that actually was unthinkable in our nation, but which is very common in third world countries or in banana republics. That's what he's doing. He's using law enforcement to try and hurt his political opponent. Every one of those things last night, you saw that, was all started by this guy, this crooked guy. And not only crooked, I mean, just so bad in so many ways. He's killing our country. He's incapable of winning based on his far left policies of open borders, massive tax increases, the Green New scam. That's a windmill on every corner, most of which don't work. And things like putting men in women's sports, really not a great idea. As every American saw firsthand last night, this election is a choice between strength and weakness, competence and incompetence, peace and prosperity, or war or no war, They like a war. They love wars. You know, they love killing people. It's so wonderful. You know, I'm the only president in many, many decades that didn't start a war. I finished one. I beat ISIS in record time. As soon as I left, we had the situation where Russia went into Ukraine. They would have never done that. And where Israel's attacked. And then we had inflation. And then we had that horrible, horrible event that took place in Afghanistan. The worst, I think the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And it's a choice, though, between a president who puts America first or a train wreck who puts America last. They put America last. Actually, the Democrats put America last. You take a look at that. Look at a guy like Senator Schumer. I've always known him. I've known him a long time. I come from New York. I knew Schumer. He's become a Palestinian. He's a Palestinian now. Congratulations. He was very loyal to Israel and to Jewish people. He's Jewish, but he's become a Palestinian because they have a couple of more votes or something. Nobody's quite figured it out. A vote for Joe Biden is a vote for failure, surrender, and disaster for our country. A vote for your all-time favorite president, President Donald J. Trump. Is a vote for stopping Joe Biden's inflation, stopping the border invasion, and very simply making America great again. It will make America great again. You see these beautiful women. I'm not allowed to use the term beautiful as a politician. In fact, it could be the end of my career. If Glenn ever ran against me, he'd say he called women beautiful, and that could be the end of my career. But they're beautiful. What am I going to do? I can't lie. But you see these beautiful women up here? They come from a place called North Carolina. We all love North Carolina. And this is their 127th rally. And it's hard to believe. I seldom see their husbands, but they're happily married. I said, are you all happily married? They love their husbands. You love your husbands? They put up with a lot, huh? No, they're very happily married women, but it's 127. But I'll tell you, Front Row Joes even have that. They're about 200 and something, right? They must have made a lot of money somewhere along the line. Do my people treat you good? Huh? They better treat you good. Front Row Joes, they become very famous. The question every voter should be asking themselves today is not whether Joe Biden can survive a 90-minute debate performance, but whether America can survive 4 more years of crooked Joe Biden in the White House. In fact, I don't know if we can really survive 5 more months. This is the most dangerous time in the history of our country, in my opinion, and we have a transition period because hopefully there has to be a transition. We've never been so close to World War III before. And if it happens, it will be a war like no other. This because of the threat of certain types of weapons. We don't even want to mention the word, but because of the type of weapons that you're talking about today, and I know them better than anybody. You know, I built our military. I totally rebuilt our military. I know more about weapons than just about anybody. And when you look at the incredible destructive power of these weapons, this will be a war like no other. This will not be 2 army tanks running against each other and shooting. This is going to be something the likes of which we've never seen. And we have a man who's grossly incompetent heading up our nation. And he's competing against Putin and President Xi of China and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. He's competing against people that are at the top of their game. And he was never really at the top of his game. He was never very good. But now he's really not good. Last night was a defeat not only for Biden, but for the entire radical left Democrat Party and the fake news media who have been lying to the American people as our country was being destroyed. The fake news media, look at all of them back there. Look at all of them. That's a lot of cameras. That's a lot of cameras. That's a lot of camera power. The Joe Biden on stage yesterday was the same Joe Biden who gave us open borders, crushing inflation, rampant crime, 2 new wars, a disastrous Afghanistan embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, and the international humiliation. Think of it, one after another, international humiliation, one after another. Nobody respects him. Foreign leaders don't respect him. You know, we put up $124 billion more given to Ukraine than Europe. Now, Europe is a lot closer. We have a thing called an ocean in between us, right? So no matter how you cut it, it's got to be more important. Why is it that we're not equalized? Why is it that they put up $124 billion, our people, these people in Washington that don't know what the hell they're doing? You know, I stopped it with NATO. We were spending almost 100% of the money for NATO. And I went in my first meeting, I realized, I said, you know, they're not paying their bills. They're delinquent. My second meeting, I said, you got to pay. And they said, well, what would happen if we don't? Then we won't defend you against Russia. And the next day, money came in by the billions. You never saw money come in so fast, Len. The money was pouring in. And I took a lot of heat, Michael. Oh, there's Mike Waltz. He knows better than anybody on this subject. He's the all-time. He's the all-time. But am I right? The money came in like at a level that was never seen. Hundreds of billions of dollars poured in. And then I took heat from the press because they said, no, I will not defend you if you're not current. And they said, well, that's not very nice. I said, it's not nice. Now, if I said I will, they wouldn't have paid, right? I suspect. But I took a lot of heat. But the fact is, the Secretary General called it the greatest. He's never seen anything like it, because Bush would come in, make a speech and leave. Obama would come in, make a speech and leave. And then I came in and I didn't make a speech. I just said, these guys aren't paying their bills. They're not paying their bills. I don't want to make a speech until they pay their bills. But they asked me, will you defend us if we don't pay? I said, no, I will not defend you. We're not stupid anymore. And $400 billion came pouring in. You never saw money pouring in so fast. The whole world should know that while Biden is the worst president in the history of America, our country is going to be strong again, and it's going to be very soon. I want the enemies to know that, because we have a 5-month transition period, and I want the enemies to know, don't play around with us during this 5-month period. Don't play around. It's only for them. It's also from, in all fairness, we have enemies on the outside, China, Russia, North Korea, enemies, but they're not really enemies if you have a smart president. If you have a smart president, they're not enemies. You'll make them do great. We had no problems. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars, and it was so because they respected our country. Thank you very much. You said they respected you. Thank you. Stand up, please. Who said that? Stand up. Because they respected us. You said it better than I could. Thank you. I plagiarized. Thank you. No, they respected us. There was no games. But we have the enemy on the outside, and you can do great things with them. And then we have a worse enemy. I call it the enemy from within. These are the sick people, the socialists. Remember I said, America will never be a socialist country. I was right. I was right. It skipped over socialism, went directly into fascism and communism. It never stopped at the station called socialism. It went worse. And that's a big problem that we have. But I think you're starting to see the end of that. And it's been starting for a while now with us. But I think last night was a big moment for people with common sense that want to see America be great again, want to put America first. Many people are saying that after last night's performance that Joe Biden is leaving the race. But the fact is, I don't really believe that, because he does better in polls than any of the Democrats they're talking about. You've seen that, Glenn. These polls come out with some of the names they're being, like Gavin Newsom. He can't run California. He's one of the worst governors. No, he's a bad governor. He can't run California. People are leaving one of the most beautiful places on earth in terms of weather, in terms of everything else. You can't do any better than California. He's doing a terrible job. But he gets up and he says, oh, California's doing great, pa, 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 like a machine gun, pa, 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 pa. But it's doing bad. People are leaving so fast, and he'd be easy. But he's got lousy poll numbers. And you take a look at some of the others. Then, of course, Kamala is somebody that will be on the scope. It might have been Joe Biden's single best decision, putting her as vice president. Might have been his best, because nobody wants that. I do. I'd be very happy with that. But they don't poll as well as this guy. I mean, I don't want to speak against myself, but maybe, and they polled everybody. They polled Michelle Obama. She polls very badly. No, she polls terribly. Michelle Obama, people, you know, they polled many people, and it's hard to believe, but crooked Joe Biden polls better than those people. So I don't know what's going to happen. I have absolutely no idea. I just know that we're going to make America great again. That's a good-looking group back there. Better looking than front row Joes. You know what happens? You think they don't have a good seat. They actually have the best seat, because oftentimes the cameras are on them. The cameras aren't on you. And I'm making a speech, and they have all this stuff. It's all over the world, and a lot of them get picked. Would you like to come to Hollywood? You'd be amazed how many people. They see some of these beautiful faces, and they say, let's move them to Hollywood. They have the best seat. They don't know it, but they do. Okay, I don't want to point to too many of them. Get myself in trouble. But remember, the biggest problem for our country is not Joe Biden's personal decline. It's that Joe Biden's policies are causing America's decline at a level that we've never seen before. That's why this November, the people of Virginia and the people of America are going to tell crooked Joe Biden, Biden, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. Get out. We don't want you. You've been the worst president in the history of our country. We don't want you. Get the hell out of here. But we don't just need to fire Biden. As you saw yesterday, the whole Democrat Party deserves to be voted out of office. You have some great people. You have some great people in this state. And the reason I'm honored to be with you, Governor, who's here, just made a really fantastic speech. I saw it coming in. I'm flying in on my plane. I'm watching him speak. I said, what a beautiful crowd that is. But he just made a great speech, because what he says turns out to be right. He's got common sense. He's got great policy. He's got the policy that made America great. Now America is in decline because they have people that are going against those basic policies. But he's got the policies that made America great. And I'll call him up. I just said to him, do you want to come up? I know you just spoke for 45 minutes. Will you want to come up? And I said, come on up. You know, so he's going to come up in a couple of seconds. As far as I'm concerned, he can say it all again. He can say it all again. But we're proud of him. He's done a great job. Time and again, Joe Biden revealed how extreme and divisive the radical left Democrats have become. Before your very eyes, crooked Joe endorsed unlimited, extreme, late-term abortion up to the moment of birth, and even after think of this, and even death after a baby is born. And I always am very clear about this. When I say the governor of Virginia, I always go back and say the former governor, because you don't want to be tied into this. But the former governor, I call him Michael Jackson. Remember? His wife saved him. He was going to moonwalk. He was trying to say why he wore blackface, and he was going to moonwalk across the stage. And that's when his wife finally put down her foot. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're already destroyed us. You've destroyed us. Don't do it. Remember, she stopped him, because nobody can moonwalk like Michael Jackson, the greatest people. So this would not have been a pretty scene. But he said that, and you can see it. I mean, they have tapes on it, he said the baby is born. Yes, the baby is born, and then we make a decision on what to do with the baby. And there's some states that allow that. It's not even believable. But think of that. But Biden celebrates throwing his political opponents in jail. He bragged about surrendering our energy independence and all of the other things that he's done in favor of China and India and other countries. And he claimed that the strength of our economy comes not from hardworking Americans, but from illegal aliens, where almost all of our new jobs have gone to illegal aliens. You know that? And just remember I said this because this is a disaster waiting to happen. You know, we're doing very well with the Black and Hispanic vote. We're doing very well with the union vote. Like record numbers, because we've done a lot. We've done criminal justice reform. We've saved the historically Black colleges and universities. We had great economic development programs with Tim Scott. Opportunity zones, it's called. It's probably the most successful opportunity. I mean, it's the most incredible thing. And that's gone largely to Black, Hispanic people. It's been great. So we've done a lot. But, you know, the worst thing that's happening to Black, number one, Hispanic, number two, unions, number three, is the millions of people pouring into our country. They're taking their jobs, and they're taking the Black jobs. People that have had their jobs for a long time are losing their jobs. And Hispanic jobs, people that have had them for a long time, they're losing their jobs. And you know who else is the biggest loser? Is going to be the unions. The unions, like the Teamsters. I have such respect for Sean. He's the head of the Teamsters. I don't want to throw around names, but he's a good man. And I don't know, I think, you know, we're at 89% approval within the Teamsters union. And I think I use Teamsters when I build buildings in Manhattan. They do unbelievable. They take the concrete trucks, and there's nobody can wheel a truck. These guys are incredible. And, you know, maybe we get lucky. Maybe somebody's smart, you know, when they have 89% approval and then they endorse, because for 50 years they endorse automatically. It's almost like automatic. They endorse the Democrat. But I think maybe the Teamsters go with us. You know, when you have a vast majority on your side, and then the person that did it, Hoffa did it last time, and he ended up getting sort of thrown out of the union. But I think they have some good leadership. I think a lot of unions are coming our way, but these millions and millions of people that are coming from prisons and jails, you know, there is a slight difference, okay? They're coming from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums like Silence of the Lamb. The press always says, why does he ramble about Silence of the Lamb? The late, great Hannibal Lecter, he'd like to have you over for dinner. Did you ever? Don't do it. If he suggests, I'd like to have you for dinner, don't go. But these are the people that are coming into our country, and they're coming in at numbers that nobody can believe. Venezuela has its lowest crime rate in 30 years because they're taking their gang members and they're dropping them into Virginia. But you have a governor that's not letting them stay very long. Right? But Joe Biden and the Democrats know this, but they're unwilling to do, for whatever reason. I don't understand, for whatever. You know, you always like to understand the other side or your opponent's reasoning. Why would somebody want open borders? Why would somebody want men playing in women's sports? Why would somebody want 100% electric vehicles and they don't go far? They're too expensive. And you know what? They have a place. Elon is a friend of mine. He probably doesn't like me too much with what I say, but they have a great place for a certain application. But you don't want 100%. They've made so many. They've spent trillions of dollars on subsidies. You ever notice that the car companies aren't selling cars, but they seem to be very happy? You know why? Because they're getting massive amounts of subsidy from the government. Normally, they'd all be out of business because they're not selling cars. They're making far more electric vehicles than you need. But they do have a place. They have a great place, but it's 9%, 7%, 8%. You have hundreds of thousands of unsold cars. This would be a great time for you to go buy an electric vehicle. But the car companies normally would be losing their shirt. But this stupid man that we have is giving massive subsidies. He's given massive subsidies to windmills all over the country that are ruining our beautiful plains, our beautiful land, our beautiful oceans. Whales aren't exactly in love with them. How about in New Jersey, where they had one whale in 50 years that washed up to shore, and last year they had 18. Would you say there's something going on, Little? They had one whale in 50 years. Last year they had 18. That's a lot. And happening more. It does something to them. It drives them crazy. Joe Biden's radical left Democrat Party is now the party of open borders, massive tax hikes, the destruction of Social Security. They are destroying your Social Security because these millions of people are coming in. They're giving them Social Security. Do you believe this? They're destroying it. They're the party of endless wars, weaponization of law enforcement, lies, hoaxes, and corruption. They're corrupt people. The Republican Party is now the party for all Americans because the Republican Party is the party of common sense. Common sense. And in the wake of all these Biden disasters, it's time for our country to finally come together so that our whole nation can win together once again. We're going to win together. We're going to bring our country together with success. Our country, pre-COVID, we had a country that was rocking and rolling like no country in the history of the world. And everybody wanted to come together. It was going to unify. I was getting calls from people that I would have said were radical left, serious radical left, Democrats. They wanted to come. They wanted to have lunch. And then we got the gift from China, COVID, the China virus, as we more accurately call it. And we did a great job. You know, we were recognized for doing great economy. We started no wars. We rebuilt our military. We got the greatest tax cuts in history, greater than the Reagan tax cuts many years before. The greatest, we had the greatest cuts in regulation of any country and of this country. Nobody has even come within 25, 30% of what we did. We cut regulations at a level that nobody ever saw before. And, you know, when I went to the big companies and the small companies, and I'd say, which was more important, the biggest tax cuts in history or the biggest regulation cuts in history? I have never heard one person say the tax cuts. They'd say the regulation cuts were more important. People couldn't build. They couldn't do anything. They were just stagnated. We had a case in Louisiana where an LNG plant, it was stuck in 14 years of traffic. They couldn't get their environmental permits. I got them in one day when I came into office, one day. And they built a $15 billion, this is like 3 Empire State Buildings rolled over and put together. This was the longest thing I've ever seen, made up of like all pipes. And I said, what the hell? But it was a $15 billion project, and they couldn't get it done. I got it done in one day. I took all the things. I said, let's get it done. And then we got 2 of the other ones done, and they're doing unbelievable business. And it was foreign money being poured into the United States. They would have never gotten it approved. And we have many such plants, different types, but plants will never get approved. And all they do is produce good things for us and lots of jobs. And in Virginia, we're doing that too. We're working with your government to get a lot of things approved that you thought would never happen. And we'll get them done very, very quickly. But with these guys, you'll never get them done. You'll never get them done. They don't have any clue. All they know is electric. They want electric army tanks. They want electric planes. What happens if the sun isn't shining while you're up in the air? Well, sir, I told you there'd be problems, sir. No, they want electric everything. They want electric boats. The problem, the boats, they don't float because the battery is so heavy, it sinks the boat. They say, we don't care. We want them anyway. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, young or old, black, brown, or white, we welcome you to our movement and ask for your help and your partnership in making America the strongest, most magnificent country again anywhere in the world. As I said last night, I'm not in this race for me. I'm in this race for the sake of our country. You know, I told them last night, I wish you were a great president. I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't have been indicted more than Al Capone. Al Capone was indicted one time. He was a killer. If he took you, see the guy standing up? Say that guy. I don't know who the hell he is, but if Al Capone took him to dinner, He'd say, he's so obnoxious, kill him. He'd say, kill him. He'd be dead, and then the cops were afraid to investigate him. He'd say, Al Capone did it? I'm not interested in looking at that. He'd be at the bottom of a foundation of a nice big building. And I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone, Scarface. Can you believe it? And it's all been because of Biden. But I said to him, I wish you were the greatest president because I wouldn't have run. I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't. Look, it was rigged. The election was totally rigged, but I wouldn't have run. If he were a great president, I'd say, you know what? If he's doing a great job, that's so important. I wouldn't have run, and I wouldn't have been going through all this stuff. But I wouldn't be here with you, and I'm enjoying this. This is better than sitting home watching television. This is much better. This is better than being on some magnificent island that I own and enjoying the fruits of life. This is much better standing out here at 100-degree weather. Global warming. Every time it turns a little slightly warm, it's global warming. It's global. The planet is going to hell. What about those people that used to say we have 12 years, in which case we're all gone? That ended about 5 years ago. We keep waiting. No, he said last night, you know, he loves his word. It's an existential threat. Existential. He has no idea what the hell the word means. I was going to ask him. But he said it again last night, that global warming is an existential threat. And I say that the thing that's an existential threat is not global warming, where the ocean will rise, maybe, and it may go down also, but it may rise 1/8 of an inch in the next 497 years, they say. 1/8, which gives you a little bit more waterfront property if you're lucky enough to own. No, that's not the threat. You know what the threat is? That's the threat, Joe Biden. It's a threat. Now, the threat is weaponry. The threat is nuclear weapons, okay? The threat is nuclear warming. That can happen tomorrow. We have 6 countries out there with massive nuclear capability. He doesn't mention it. You know, I watch these people talking about global warming, and they don't use that now. They use climate change because global warming was no good because it was actually getting cooler. So they used to have in the 1920s, you know, they thought the planet was going to freeze. They had a thing, global cooling. They had a picture, I think it was on Time magazine, of the Earth, very cool. 1920s, it was a global cooling thing. But now they got smart. It's climate change. Because climate change, if it goes warm, it's good. If it goes cool, it doesn't matter what. If it rains, if it snows, if you have more tornadoes or less tornadoes. You know, I read about some bad tornadoes, and we do have bad tornadoes. But the worst tornado was in 1987. The worst tornado was in the 1800s. They say 1857 ripped the hell out of the country. In 1893, we had a series of tornadoes that made these look like babies. Now, that's only reporting, you know, who knows, but they were very serious. It's cold weather. The risk is weaponry. The risk is nuclear warming, and we have to be careful. And we need our smartest people to head this up. My uncle was a professor at MIT, the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT, Dr. John Trump. And Dr. John Trump told me many years ago, I was a little boy, just like that beautiful kid over there. I wasn't as good looking as him, but other than that, but I was the same age. And you know what? He told me, I say, what do you mean, Uncle John? No, someday he knew nuclear better than anybody. You know, when he graduated from MIT, they said, would you do us a favor? What? Become a professor. And because he was so smart. And he said, well, I'd like to think about it, but he did. And he was there for 41 years. He's the longest serving professor in the history of MIT. He used to tell me about nuclear many years ago when I was a little boy. He said, someday you'll have a bomb that can do destruction, the likes of which nobody can even imagine. And I won't tell you what he said in terms of the power, but he would say just that. And then he'd go into some more details. And I said, no way, Uncle John. No way. And now he said, yes, that will be. And he was very worried about it. That's your threat, and we don't even talk about it. We never even met. Can you imagine this guy saying global warming is the greatest threat to our country? Global warming is fine. In fact, I heard it was going to be very warm today. It's fine. It's fine. I believe that, and we were united. I'll tell you, during that period of time, just prior to COVID coming in, I was with Tony Fabrizio and John McLaughlin, two of the great pollsters, and there are good pollsters. You know, we have a lot of fake pollsters, like we have a lot of fake news. They are fake news in a sense. But by the way, did you see? We had a poll last week, Rasmussen, which is a good poll. That's only good because I like them. You know, they happen to be good. If they were bad, like 2 months from now, I'd say they're terrible. But the Rasmussen poll is a big deal. It's a really good poll. And they have us up 10 points on this guy, 10 points. That's pretty good. And a friend of mine who's very smart, but he's not really into politics, he said, could I ask you a question? Why is 10 points good? You mean he's going to get 40 points? I said, you have to understand the Democrats basically get 40 points. It doesn't matter. If this lectern was running for office, it would get 40. Actually, Joe, that's true. They get 40 automatically. The Republicans have to do it the old-fashioned way. We have to earn it. We have to do like in 2016. We have to do really like 2020. You know, we got many millions of more votes in 2020 than we got in 2016. We did actually much better. But it was rigged. What are you going to do? But you know what? We're not going to let that happen again. We're not letting that happen. They used COVID to cheat. They did everything possible to cheat. And Hillary Clinton said, why didn't you do that to me? Why didn't you find those votes for me like you found for Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? Oh, ready? Poll. What's a better name? I go Crooked Joe first and then Crooked Joe Biden or Sleepy Joe Biden. Ready? Crooked Joe first. Who likes Crooked Joe Biden first? Okay. Who likes Sleepy Joe Biden? Similar. Okay, let's do it again. Crooked Joe Biden. Sleepy Joe Biden. Crooked. The other time, last week I did that. You know, I like saving money. You go to these pollsters, they interview. I don't even think they interview them, if you want to know the truth. I think they just say they interview because they make money. I don't even think they interview them. But they say they interview like 243 people, and they tell you what's going to happen with the race, right? And then they want to charge you $500,000. Politicians know this. And I come to these rallies, and I do my own polls. We have 25,000 people or something here today. I get a free poll. It's a free poll. Okay, here's another one. Who likes Governor Glenn Youngkin? That's the end of that. I don't know who to put against him because there's nobody going to win. Anyway, well, you're right. But we were a truly united country, and I believe that we can be a very great country again. It's going to be stronger. It's going to be more glorious. It's going to be better than ever. We're going to make our country better than ever. Our mission must start with restoring safety to America, one of the most disturbing lies out of Crooked Joe's mouth. In our debate last night was when he denied anything having to do with the border. Anything having to do with the border. He said the border is such a lovely place, letting massive numbers of terrorists pour into our country. Just 2 days ago, news reports revealed that while Biden was taking his 10-day rest and study period, it was a rest and study. Where is he going to be? I love Camp David, by the way. I'm not a rustic person. I don't love rustic look, but I loved it. You had to see this place. I started to love it. Very seductive. You go up these log cabins. They're so beautiful, the best. And I'd see FDR, pictures of FDR and pictures of the great presidents. And it was so historic and so incredible. But I'm not sure he has any idea what the history is. He just likes a log cabin. He wants to lock himself in. He wants a place to sleep, okay? Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. I want to sleep. I'm studying for the debate. I want to sleep and study. That's all I'm going to do for 10 days while the world is going to hell. But he had a study period at Camp David while more than 50 terrorists, 55 to be exact, were running into the United States after Biden allowed them to cross our wide open southern border. Crooked Joe has no idea where they are, what kind of slaughter they intend to commit, but you will bet anything. ISIS terrorists, 55 of them last week. ISIS terrorists, the worst in the world. By the way, I defeated ISIS. You know that. General Kane, right? Raising Kane. You know that story, Raising Kane. He was great, great general, real general, not the television. We have a lot of television generals. They're no good. Like Milley. How about Milley? We had some, like the dumbest of them all, General Kelly. He didn't know. He was lost in the White House. That poor guy didn't know what the hell was happening. He was like a lost, we used to call him a lost soul. Under the Trump administration, we will not rest until we have found every single radical Islamic terrorist who Joe Biden has let into America. We will arrest them or we will throw them the hell out of our country immediately, and we will not let them back in. We have no choice. And already Biden's open border nightmare has stolen countless innocent lives. Yesterday in Houston, you read about this. 12-year-old Jocelyn Nunguri was laid to rest by her grieving mother, who I spoke to yesterday. Incredible woman, just devastated. Literally, I was going up to the debate, and I got the return call from the mother. And I talked to her, and they're screaming at me, "Sir, you're going to the debate. You're going right now, sir." You know, and I'm on the phone, and I said, "I can't, I might be late." But that's okay. But I said, I will. I did talk to her, and then I said, I'll speak to you, and I'm going to call her today or tomorrow. A devastated person. She was a devastated person, but her precious daughter became yet another victim of the Biden migrant crime. People that would have never come in here. In fact, a lot of these people that you're reading about, we threw them out. They were gone, and they came back under Biden. Last week, Jocelyn was savagely tied up, viciously assaulted, and brutally murdered by two Biden migrants who Crooked Joe released into the United States to prey on our women and girls. One of these monsters waited just 20 days before ending Jocelyn's beautiful American life. Crooked Joe proved last night he has no regret, no remorse, had no idea who she was, no empathy and no compassion for all the innocent victims whose lives have been just absolutely destroyed. And you look at so many of the other young people that you're hearing about, so many of them are young, 13, 12, raped and killed, 13 years old, 12 years old, raped and killed. And remember this, I say this a lot, this is just starting because they're just getting comfortable in the country. They never heard about politically correct law enforcement. We have the greatest police in the world, but they're not allowed to do their job. And we're going to let them do their job. And we're going to give them immunity so they can't be prosecuted for doing their job. Joe Biden inherited a great border because I fixed it. Remember, I fixed it in 2016. I got elected because of the border. But that border was nothing compared to what we have. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I fixed it. It was a big deal. And I would say it was probably one or two in terms of my points that I had a lot of things. But the border was a big deal. It was a bad border. I fixed it so much so that I couldn't even speak about it during the 2020 race because it didn't, nobody cared about it anymore because it was fixed. So he inherited a perfect border and he proceeded to destroy it almost immediately. He destroyed it at a level that nobody could even believe, but many times worse than it was in 2016. I'd love, I have a chart. I don't know if these guys don't know about this, but I have a chart that if they could find it, put it up, because there's one little stat on this chart. Oh, wow. These guys have become good. It used to take a day to get that chart. They'd say, "Sir, we'll have it up tomorrow." I said, "Tomorrow's not going to help me, Glenn." So you see the arrow, Glenn, on the bottom. See the arrow, the big red arrow on the bottom. That's the lowest level of illegal immigration ever in recorded history right there. That's the week that I left office. And look what happened after that. Look at the numbers on the right. Look at what happened after that. So that was the lowest level, and then it started marching upward. But what you don't see are the drugs. We're at the lowest level in 32 years. The human trafficking, mostly in women. They traffic in women. And that's now back at a level that we've never even seen or imagined before. But I love that chart. That chart is just a small chart in with other numbers like poll numbers and things that are so impressive, even fundraising. We did more. We raised more money after this crooked trial than we've ever raised, I think, than any candidate. I think we raised over $400 million. Can you believe it? I would say if we did 10 million, it would be a lot during this period. 10 million's a lot of money. They raised over $400 million during this very short period of time, a little period of time. If we would have done like 8 or 9 or 10, it would have been great. But they did numbers that no, because everyone knows they're a bunch of crooked people. These are crooked people using justice to try and win an election. But I'm proud of that chart. It was in with other things that are very important, but there's something about the importance of this that I really thought we could show it. And sometimes we'll take it out, show it to some of these big crowds. When I return to the White House, we will stop the plunder, rape, slaughter, and destruction of American suburbs, cities, and towns. And for the suburban women, who I actually think vote for me, I think that's, they say. They say the suburban women, what, you saw Biden, you like Biden? Yeah. The suburban women, you know why they like me? Because I'm going to keep them safe. I'm going to keep them safe. We're going to keep them safe. And I think it's fake. I think we do great with suburban women, but I always read, he's trying to get the suburban women. No, I think they like me because I'm going to keep them safe. Militarily and also from the standpoint of borders and everything else. We will shut down deadly sanctuary cities. I will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement. And on day one, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. And we have no choice. Have no choice. And as we discussed last night with Crooked Joe, the Biden border invasion has also been a disaster. And I say it, and I'll say it again. For the African-American, Hispanic-American communities more than anybody else, virtually all of the net jobs created have gone to Biden migrants. Who would think that? I heard that a week ago. I said, you got to give me that stat. Almost every job, did you know that? It's hard to believe, actually. Almost every new job has gone to illegal immigrants. Joe Biden wants to be the president for illegal aliens, and I want to be the president for Americans of every background, every walk of life, every race, religion, color, and creed. And remember, Joe Biden used the term super predators. He used it for 10 years. He used it more than anybody else. That's not a man that likes black people. I will tell you, that's not a man. Super predator. Ask him about it. I brought it up last night. He went, oh. Super predator, ask him. And honestly, only black people know what that term represents. 1990s, Joe Biden, super predator for 10 years. Every day, more African Americans and Hispanic Americans are joining our movement, and that's one of the major reasons that we're going to win the Commonwealth of Virginia this fall. And our case to Virginia is very simple. We will seal the border. We will make the American dream affordable again, but we will bring back the American dream, something you don't hear about anymore. You're going to have the American dream back. Working with your great governor, Glenn Youngkin, we will make Virginia greater than it has ever been before. Under my leadership, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world. That was proven time and time again. During my term, we had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon. And by the way, take a look at gasoline. It's going up rapidly. Do you see what's going on? That's going up. And by the end, the 30-year mortgage, think of this, was 2.6%. It was 2.6% interest. And you know what it is now? It's 10%, but you can't get the money. So the American dream of owning a house is impossible. When I left office, inflation was almost nothing. How about this guy going around saying it was 9%? No, it was 9% when he didn't enter. About 14 months after he got in, he had to go from almost nothing to 9%. But he had a period where he had what they call the Trump float. He had all the good things, including the bounce back jobs that they took. They said all these pandemic jobs, we said, close it down, do whatever you want. And then when it opens, they're called bounce back jobs. And they bounce back to bigger than where it was before. He takes the credit for it. You don't take credit for a bounce back. Joe Biden accidentally admitted last night, quote, there was no inflation when I became president. He made a mistake. That was where I said, did you mean that, Joe? You mean Now, Virginia families are being crushed by Crooked Joe. You can't afford groceries, rent, a house, a car payment, or anything else. I think your real rate of inflation, by the way, they say 24, 25%. I think if you really add the right items and you include interest where you can't get a mortgage, but if you do, you're going to pay much more than 10%. I think your rate of inflation is 35 to 50%, and that's killing this country. It's a country buster. It's a family buster. It's busting up everything. We have the highest inflation, in my opinion, in the history of our country. In fact, Biden didn't have inflation for the first, so he didn't have it for many, many months because I gave him something that was beautiful. I gave him a clean, beautiful border. All he had to do was leave Tom Homan and leave these great people, you know, Brandon Judd, great. Oh, and he had a news conference today because Biden last night used his name in vain. He said, I never supported Biden and I never would. He said, I support Trump. I don't support Biden. He has no support. He doesn't have support from one police group anywhere in the country. Frankly, he's a defunder. If you want to know, defund the police. That's another brilliant policy that they have. And then like a nightmare, it all began. But on day one of my new administration, we will throw out Bidenomics and we will replace it. We are going to replace it with Maganomics. 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 To stop Bidenflation, I will end Joe Biden's colossal waste of American taxpayer dollars, and I will rapidly terminate a thing called the Green New Scam. It's the greatest scam in the history of our country. We're spending trillions and trillions of dollars on nonsense, on things that all they do is cause waste and inflation. I will repeal every disastrous Biden regulation. He's adding them back as fast as he can, killing our jobs. Cancel Crooked Joe's insane electrical, think of it, the electric vehicle mandate. It's called the EV mandate. And we will do something like we've never done it before, although we did it pretty good 5 years ago. You know, 5 years ago, we were totally non-reliant on oil and gas from other countries. We were going to soon be energy dominant. We were going to be sending it out to Europe, all over the world. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. And then this guy ended it. Then prices went up and he started saying, oh, let him drill, let him drill. But if this election went bad, our country is going to be destroyed. But they will go back to that policy on the day after it opens up. And you're going to have electric bills that will be triple what they are now. Because when we get in, we're going to have a very simple phrase. We will drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. Think of it. 4 years ago, we were energy independent. Now we're begging Venezuela, one of the safest places on earth. It's true. Though their crime rate is down to the lowest that they've ever had. Their crime rate is down 72% because they've taken all of their criminals. They've taken all of their prisoners. They've taken all of their drug lords, drug dealers. They've taken all of their gang members and brought them to the United States of America. Congratulations. Congratulations, everybody. And they brought them in, so their crime rate is, what do you have here? The crime is down 72%. They've taken their criminals and they deposited, and then they just got up 2 weeks ago and said, under no circumstances will we take any of them back. So here's what we're going to do. Next year, we're all going to meet as a group. And if this guy, it's not even conceivable that he's in. I hate to even want to suggest it. Let's say in a few months we'll do this. We're going to meet again. We're going to meet in Venezuela because it's the safest place on earth. You know, in Caracas, a year ago, 2 years ago, you had no chance of walking across the street if you were a woman without being accosted, beat up, shot, knifed to death. Now it's a very safe city, because they've moved everybody into the United States of America. How stupid are we? How stupid are we? And their crime rates way down. And all over the world, their prison populations are down. And the fake news, look at them all over back there. The fake news doesn't want to talk about it. They say Donald Trump has a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy. No, it's not conspiracy. And by the way, if I were one of the presidents or dictators, as I call them, most of them are dictators, but they go under the term president. but I know them all very well. I would have been doing better than them. I would have had 100% over in this country by now. They're emptying their prisons. You know what that is? They're emptying their mental institutions into our country. Do you know the money they save? The money is massive. And we have all the problems. Nothing good is going to come out. And we have ISIS terrorists. We have terrorists pouring into our country. Just bad, bad things are going to happen. And it's all because of this incompetent president, the worst president in history. If he gets back in, Joe Biden has also vowed to pulverize Virginia families with the largest tax hikes in history. Congratulations. He pledged that the Trump tax cuts are, quote, going to expire. And if I'm elected, it's going to stay expired. That means he's going to raise your taxes by 4 times. It's going to be the largest. You know that, Len. He wants to give you the largest tax increase in the history of our country. It's going to decimate Virginia, and it's going to decimate every state, and it's not his fault. You'll have to take the heat. Maybe that's what they're doing. You'll have to take the heat. But they want to decimate because those tax cuts went more to the middle class and the lower class than to anybody else and the creation of jobs. But instead of a Biden tax increase, I will deliver a Trump and call it a Trump middle class tax cut. And all of my life, I said it last night, I've watched as politicians cut taxes. This guy wants to raise your taxes by 4 times, and people say, oh, let's vote for him. I don't know. They don't use the term liberal anymore. They use the term progressive, you know, because it's a nice sounding word. I'm a progressive, but it's not a good word. It's a really bad word. And we will have a brand new Trump economic boom. We're going to cut taxes. So we cut taxes substantially, massively, the biggest tax. And with a lower rate, we did much more business, much more revenue than we had before the cuts. In other words, we just did better. And Apple and Microsoft, all these companies were bringing their money back from offshore countries, from other countries. They were bringing it back into the United States because they essentially weren't allowed to from a practical standpoint because the tax was so high and the bureaucracy of doing it was almost impossible, they say. So we're going to do more tax cutting. And we're going to have this country at a level that you've never seen it before. And we're going to, you know, underfoot, under the ground, we have more liquid gold, oil and gas than any country on earth. And, you know, we had a thing called ANWR in Alaska. Ronald Reagan wanted to get it approved. He couldn't do it. Everybody wanted to get it approved. I got it approved. The first week of Biden, they disapproved it. The greatest reserves, they say, outside of perhaps Saudi Arabia, could be greater than Saudi Arabia. Would have been so great for Alaska, but would have been great for this country. Massive, massive oil reserves, and they turned it down. These people are horrible. I've announced that as part of those tax cuts, I will eliminate all taxes on tips. A very simple statement, no taxes or tips. I got that idea the other night. I'm in Las Vegas at my place, which is a very nice place, having dinner with some people, big people, successful people talking about the future of the country, and they're very worried about it. And the waitress came over. I said, how are you doing? Been there for a long time. And she said, they're killing me on tips. I said, really? They go after? He said, you have no idea. They just issued new regulations that make it impossible for us to live. And I was actually surprised to hear it. No taxes on tips. And when I announced that last week, you know, my phone's lit up. I never saw anything like that. That was a very popular thing to announce, but it's a good thing. You earn the money, you keep the money. Every time you leave a tip for the next 5 months, make sure to write on the receipt, vote for Trump for no taxes on tips. It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. A great thing just happened a few hours ago. You probably heard about it, but maybe you didn't because some of you have been standing in line for 3 days. Do you know that? These people, right? They've been online for 3 days to get into your place, Glenn. This is crazy. You must have heard that Glenn is going to be here with his superstar son. We do, right? Don't we? I think he's great. Doing great. But just this happened a few hours ago. The Supreme Court ruled that Biden's Department of Justice has wrongly prosecuted hundreds of Americans for peacefully protesting on January 6th. Those people have been treated so badly, especially when you compare them with people that ripped apart and killed people in Portland and in Seattle and in other places. They have been treated so badly. So we're asking, based on the decision, they should immediately be released, immediately, the J6 hostages. But all of these people, whether it's the thugs in Portland, the thugs of Seattle, the thugs of Minneapolis, how about Minneapolis? It was burning down. Remember the guy from CNN? Although I shouldn't knock CNN because I actually thought they treated me very fairly last night. Very professional, both of them. Jake and Dana, they treated us very fairly. They abused me for years, but last night, right? What happened? They treated me very fairly. I think it's great. I think it was great for them. It was great for CNN, but I thought they were very fair. But all of those thugs, and then you take the monument-wrecking thugs of Washington, D.C. Remember they came into Washington? And, you know, you thought maybe there was a little bit of a racial anger. But then they wanted to take down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. I'm saying, what's this all about? But they only wanted to do things until I got tough with them and imposed a 10-year jail sentence on anyone for so much as touching any one of our magnificent monuments. And it was amazing to watch them flee the city. They fled the city very rapidly from that moment on. You know, I brought out an old law that had been done in the early 1900s, and it said that if you touch a statue, you get a maximum fine of 10 years in jail, and you can't do anything about it. It's 10 years in jail, and that's it. So I reinstated that law. You could never have a law like that passed today because it's too tough. They don't do things. Until the country's really in trouble, they won't do things. But I took it out. I reenacted it. And as soon as I did, in other words, 10 years in jail if you get caught doing anything to one of our beautiful monuments or statues. They fled Washington. It was a beautiful sight. I watched them go up. Look at them go. Look at them go. No, because it's what they understand. But based on the Supreme Court, the great Supreme Court, we put 3 incredible justices on. They had, I understand, another 3, and they did the right thing. Free the J6 hostages now. They should free them now for what they've gone through. They've been waiting for this decision for a long time. They've been waiting for a long time, and that was a great answer. That was a great thing for people that have been so horribly treated. So many of these people were told to go in, right? The police, go in, go in, go in. What's going on? And they put them in jail for years and years. All of their persecution is only happening, and all of it has happened to me because I'm running for president and leading very substantially in all of the polls, every single poll. We're leading in every state. We're even leading in the state, or as you would say, the Commonwealth of Virginia. No, we're leading in the Commonwealth, and I'm glad I corrected that, right? If I didn't correct it, well, they'll put it on tonight. They'll have it cut just prior to, they'll cut it just prior to. No, the Commonwealth is great, but we're leading, and it could be a very substantial lead, but we have one poll with 2 up, another one with 3 up, another one with 4 up, one we're even, but that was a very Democrat poll. I don't believe that. But we're going to make Virginia greater than ever before. I hope you get out and do this, because these people are destroying our country. As you saw last night, it's all coming straight from Crooked Joe himself because he thinks it's the only way that he can win. All of this persecution of people, it's all coming from Joe Biden and his thugs, because I'm not even sure he knows what the hell's going on. But he's surrounded by vicious thugs. He's surrounded by fascists and communists. But since the show trial in New York, my poll numbers have increased so substantially, nobody's seen anything like it. And I think last night will not detract from that. And fundraising, as I said, is at an all-time high. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 200. Think of this. They rigged the election in 2020 like nobody's ever seen before. And we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024. We're not going to allow it to happen. And every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists, every time they indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor because I'm being indicted for you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way, and I always will. So we're thrilled to be joined today by many outstanding Virginia patriots, great people, including the next senator from the Commonwealth of Virginia, Hung Cao. He's going to be, I think he's going to be great. You're going to win. What do you think? Is he going to win, Glenn? You're going to help him? We got to help. Hey, Glenn, should we have him come up for a second? Come on up. We got to get him to win. Because let me tell you, his opponent is terrible. He's just terrible. Hung is a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy, and he served with special operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. He was one of the most brave guys. They talk about it. He's become a legend, and that's why he's running. And now he's running to fight for the hardworking people of Virginia. Hung Cao will vote to secure our borders, stop Joe Biden's inflation nightmare, and crack down on violent crime. He will vote for low taxes, low regulations, and low energy prices, and he is a warrior. He'll support our police and our veterans, and most importantly, Hung Cao will defeat a terrible senator, a man who's got very little respect in Washington, D.C. His name is Tim Kaine. Nobody respects him. Repeatedly to continue Joe Biden's border invasion. I don't know how you people, this is killing you, and yet this guy votes all the time to keep it going. Tim Kaine, let the people pour into our country, even if they're criminals, even if they're mental patients. He voted to protect deadly sanctuary cities. He voted for the largest proposed amnesty plan and tax plan in American history. He voted against Kate's Law to, think of that, how do you vote against Kate's Law? And he voted to terminate Title 42. He voted to give illegal aliens taxpayer-funded benefits, the likes of which nobody has ever seen, including our great veterans. Virginia cannot afford 6 more years of Tim Kaine and his open borders agenda. Everybody's got to get out and vote for Hung Cao. I love this name. He is really going to be great. Hung, say a few words, please.
Mr. President, the only person better off today than they were 4 years ago is an illegal alien. We're going to fight for America. We're going to put Americans first, like we always have, with your leadership, sir.
Go get him. Telling you, he's going to win. Man, that guy he's got a serious handshake. Well, I'm sorry, but I think my hand may be broken. He's a tough cookie. That's a serious handshake you have. Thank you. You're going to win. You're going to win. A lot of people are going to win that nobody's thinking of. And, it's amazing what's happening. What's happening is really amazing. But this is a guy who's going to win, and you're going to be proud of him for many, many years. We're also grateful to be joined by the governor of this magnificent Commonwealth. His name happens to be Glenn Youngkin, and he's one of the greatest governors in the country. And I know he just spoke, but I'd love to have him come up and say a few additional words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Here we go. Okay, Virginia, are you ready to win? Mr. President, This is the best Trump rally that you have ever had, and you're doing it in Virginia. And yes, on behalf of 8.7 million Virginians, Mr. President, we are going to go to work and get you back in the White House.
He really is. He's a great governor doing an incredible job, and we appreciate it. He's also a tall governor, very tall governor. The only one I know taller is my son, Barrett. That kid is tall, and he's a good boy, and he sees this country, and it distresses him when he sees what's happening at a young age. People understand. Smart people understand, but I want to thank the governor for the great job he's done in the Commonwealth. It's done an incredible job, and everybody's talking about it too. Thanks as well to Virginia Attorney General Jason Mears. Jason Mears. Where's Jason? Come on, Jason, let's go. What the hell is a Friday? Come on. Come on, Jason. I hear great things. All I know is Glenn tells me he's doing a great job as Attorney General. I don't have to hear anymore. That's the one that matters. Come on, Jason.
Well, I first, as the Attorney General, as a top law enforcement official in the Commonwealth, I have to say, Mr. President, after seeing last night's debate, I instructed my adult abuse investigators to investigate the DNC for forcing Joe Biden to run for president. But when we talk about what's at stake at this election, it's three simple initials: USA.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Is everybody having a good time? So one of the great congressmen, a person who knows more about our military, I think, than maybe anybody. He's from a wonderful state known as Florida, and he's highly respected by everybody he knows. Just a real professional, and he hates seeing what he's seeing because he sees our country, a nation in decline is what he sees, and it's very sad to watch, but we're going to turn it around. Congressman Michael Waltz. Thank you, Michael. Great job. And Michael would agree that Congresswoman Jen Kiggans is a fantastic talent, a fantastic woman. Where is she? She is doing a great job. Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you. Great job. Everyone tells me, look, Secret Service won't let her up. Secret Service, they're tough. They don't play games. Thank you very much, Jen. We appreciate it. Thank you. A man who was treated very unfairly by the thugs, the same thugs that we're going to dethrone, like a deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged person. How's he doing? I don't think he's doing so well. He's a deranged person, but he gave a man named Bob McDonnell, your former governor, he gave him a very unfair, they all did. They gave him a very unfair treatment, but Bob has done incredibly well. He went through it, and he's a great guy. Former Governor Bob McDonnell. Thank you very much. The deranged one we have. You're not a fan. You're not a fan of those guys, right? And now Bob showed them for what they are. Former governor and a really wonderful senator and a good guy and a friend of mine, George Allen. George, thank you. Thank you, George. I knew his father very well, and his father was a great coach. He was really a good coach. He was, he knew how to win, right? He knew how to win. Former Governor Jim Gilmore. Jim, thank you. Thank you, Jim. Congressional nominees, Lori Buck out, Lori. Thank you. Good luck. Oh, you're going to do well. You're scheduled to win. They have you down. Another one scheduled to win, Derek Anderson. Good. You're going to do great. We're going to get it. He's running against one of the Vindman twins. Vindman, is that correct? The Vindman twins. These are the worst people. You got to win that race, Derek. They are the worst people. They reported a false conversation. They made up a story about a certain conversation that was false. And they act like they're hot stuff. They're not. All they have to do is look in the mirror and they'll realize. And look at this guy. He's like a movie star, right? Look at this guy. No, the brothers, they're twins. And I heard one is worse than the other. I think you're running against the worst one. We're going to fight for you. You got to win that race. You got to teach the Vindmans. We got to get them out. And another man who started a little bit down to somebody, I won't mention his name. I will not mention his name. Bob Good, I won't mention his name. And Bob Good was terrible to me for 3 years. And I used to say, who is this guy? And then for the last 6 months, he was great. But I couldn't forget the 3 years, so I had to make a decision. And we had a man named John McGuire, who was a Navy SEAL. And, you know, I know a lot of tough guys, and they wanted to be Navy SEALs. It was their dream to be a Navy SEAL. That's all they thought about. And in many cases, like sons of friends of mine, they want to be a Navy SEAL. They couldn't get there. It's a very tough thing to do. It's really tough. Guys at the perfect physical specimens, everything great. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And this guy is a full-fledged Navy SEAL at the highest level. And he beat an opponent who was a leader, a big leader in the House, a Republican leader. And Bob McGuire, you're going to have a great race. You're going to win, and you are a hero. Thank you very much. That was amazing. That was amazing. It was an honor to endorse him. You know, he started off, not a lot of people knew him. I endorsed him, and he went up 27 points. And he ended up winning by, like, doesn't matter, a few hundred votes. We'll take it. Doesn't matter. 2 votes is okay, too. What a great campaign you ran. Congratulations. He's a Navy SEAL. Thank you very much, John. John McGuire, everybody. And also a man who's a tough cookie, and he's doing a great job. Virginia GOP chair, Rich Anderson. He says we're going to win. Rich, thank you. Are we going to win, right? We got to win. Oh, by the way, we win Virginia, the race is over. You understand that? So I don't want to put any pressure on Randy and on Glenn and on everybody else, but we win Virginia, you know, it's over. It's over. I saw that today. They said if he wins Virginia on top of everything else, it's over. And former Congressman, good guy, Randy Forbes. Randy, thank you. Thank you. You look good. Thank you, Randy. Above all, because we are near so many military facilities, I want to salute every single U.S. service member and veteran in the audience today. We have the highest rating with the veterans of any president. Thank you. So let's have a big round of applause for the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. Under the Trump administration, we fully rebuilt the U.S. military, and we created Space Force. We totally defeated the ISIS territorial caliphate 100%. We did it in 4 weeks. They said it was going to take 5 years. We extinguished the founder and leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi. We terminated the worst top terrorist, Qasem Soleimani. These are the 2 top terrorists in the world. We left Iran weak and broke and begging to make a deal. They wanted to make a deal so badly. We would have made a deal. We would have made a good deal for them. But then we had the rigged election, and now we have an incompetent president. We stood with our friends and ally in the state of Israel. We recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And we recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, something they were trying to do for 70 years. And with the Abraham Accords, we made peace in the Middle East at a level that nobody has ever seen in the Abraham Accords. We had Russia, China, and North Korea in check, and I was the first president in decades who started no new wars, Instead, I brought our troops back home. We brought them all back home. If I was president, the war in Ukraine would never have happened. The October 7th attack on Israel would never have happened. The Russian nuclear submarines would not be circling Cuba 60 miles off our Miami coast. Think of it. We have Russian submarines circling Cuba, and the fake news media doesn't want to talk about it. If you were president, they'd be calling for your indictment. If Bob was president, but you could handle it, you've proven that. If anybody was president that was a Republican, they don't even talk about it. Think of it. We have Russian submarines and Russian warships in Cuba, and Cuba's right next to Miami, in case you don't know. Can you imagine? And the fake news media, those people right there with all those cameras, they don't want to talk about it. For our great veterans, we passed VA accountability and VA choice, two things they said were impossible to get passed. And while Joe Biden pretends to be a defender of veterans, Crooked Joe has tried to rehire the sadists who mistreated our great. You know, we fired 9,000 people out of the VA because they were sadistic, they were sadists, they were hurting our veterans, they were thieves, they were crooks, they were bullies. We fired 9,000. Biden now wants to hire them all back. He's trying to reinstate 5,000 poorly performing VA. These are all people that I fired, VA employees that I fired, and give them back full pay. We fired them because they were sadists and they were bullies and they were hurting people that weren't in prime time. It'll cost us $200 million in back pay. This is what he wants. He wants to put the thugs back into the VA, and people are not happy. On day one of my new administration, I will fully restore the use of VA accountability and direct my Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And by the way, all this stuff passed Congress. I got to pass Congress. Wasn't just an executive order. And direct my Secretary of Veterans Affairs, my last one did a great job, to fire every corrupt abuser of our veterans who Joe Biden wants to keep on the payroll, wants to have them back. As Commander-in-Chief, I will defend our military. I will always honor our veterans, and I will restore peace through strength. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine totally settled. I know a good guy who could settle it. That guy right there, Glenn. He would settle it. He did some pretty tough deals. You have good experience for settling. Yesterday's debate should make it clearer than ever how important it is to elect a competent president who will prevent World War III. I'm the only one that can say it. I know every one of those players, and they respect us. In my next term, we will build a great iron dome over our country, a dome the likes of which no one has ever seen before, a state-of-the-art missile defense shield that will be entirely built and made in the USA. And largely in the Commonwealth of Virginia. A lot of it is expected to be done right here in Virginia. You know, Israel has a dome, but we have technology. Ronald Reagan wanted it to happen years ago, but we didn't have the technology, in all fairness, then. But he wanted it. But now we have incredible technology. As you know, 300 missiles were recently shot at Israel, and 299 were knocked down, and one was basically disabled. So they stopped 300 missiles from going into Israel. And we were going to have a better dome, a more technologically capable dome. And we're going to build a great dome over this country because we deserve it. We deserve it. Despite Joe Biden's flagrant lies on the debate stage, I will not cut one penny from Social Security or Medicare, which is what he is going to do. He's destroying Social Security. I kept that promise for 4 straight years, and I'll keep it again. Remember, I didn't increase. I didn't do. You know, they talk about Russia. Russia under Bush took land. Russia under Obama took land. Russia under Biden is going to take the whole thing, it looks like. Russia under Trump took nothing. They took nothing. It's true. True. Pinocchio Joe lied about all the things that I did to preserve Social Security. He's going to destroy Social Security by allowing all of these people in and using it. Remember that, Congressman. You got to stop him. And even his lies about now the inexpensive insulin. So I was the one that got you the inexpensive, not him. That was done 3 years ago. And the sad thing, it came due 2 years later. And I said, you mean if I lose this race? That was at the time. The new president's going to get credit. And he goes around talking about how he did insulin. I did the insulin, where the seniors get insulin at a very low price. By contrast, Joe Biden has cut Medicare Advantage payments for 2 straight years, a total betrayal to our seniors. Biden has cut Advantage payments. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they have ever been before. We will take our horribly run capital of our nation in Washington, D.C., and clean it up, renovate it, and rebuild a capital the likes of which that even we haven't seen in its prime. We will get rid of the murder and the crime. You go from Virginia to take a tour of the Capitol, look at the great monuments and all, you end up getting shot, mugged, knifed. We're going to clean it up, and we're going to get rid of all the crime. There's not going to be any crime. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and any other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the shoulders of our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep men out of women's sports. And fully uphold, of course, the totally under siege Second Amendment. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech, and I will secure our elections like never before. Our elections will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. Very simple. But until then, Republicans must win. We're going to count on Virginia more than just about any place else. We're so close. This would be an incredible historic victory. We want a landslide that's, and remember this term, too big to rig. We want a landslide that's too big to rig. If it's too big to rig, if it's too big, they can't rig it. They're going to try. They're bad. They have no shame. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done the near, think of it, they wouldn't have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration has done. So if you want to save America, go out, get your family, get your friends, get everyone you know, and vote. Vote early, vote absentee, vote on election day. But whatever you do, you have to go out and vote. You have to vote. And if you want us to help ensure election integrity, sign up to Protect the Vote. It's very simple. Get out and help us. ProtectTheVote.com. Very simple. Protect, because we don't need votes. We need protection of the votes once they're cast, because these people will do anything to stay in power. So ProtectTheVote.com. Help us protect the vote. We're going to protect it. And we have law enforcement. Every law enforcement agency in Virginia and every other place has endorsed us. They're going to all be watching. From Fredericksburg to Williamsburg, from Alexandria to Norfolk, and from Roanoke to Richmond to right here in Chesapeake, Virginia. It's been the home of some of the greatest American heroes ever to walk the face of the earth. This is the place where George Washington led the patriots of the Continental Army to victory at Yorktown. What a history you have. Virginia was the home of Thomas Jefferson, who wrote those immortal words, all men are created equal. And Virginia gave us James Madison, James Monroe, Lewis and Clark, Booker T. Washington, Ella Fitzgerald, the Bedford Boys who gave their lives on D-Day, and Patrick Henry, who declared, "Give me liberty or give me death." Pretty good. That's a pretty good history. That's not bad. You know, I stop at a lot of states. They don't quite have a lot of that, right, Governor? Together, they help build America into the greatest and most exceptional nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation that is in serious decline. We are a failing nation. Very sad thing to say. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, willpower, and strength. We are a nation that has, quite honestly, lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. With the right leadership, every disaster Joe Biden has created can be fixed, and can be fixed really very, very quickly, and we will get it done fast. Every problem can be solved, and every wrong can be rectified. By this time next year, America's borders will be strong, sealed, and secure. Inflation will be in full retreat. Our economy will be roaring back. Optimism will be surging. The American dream will be thriving again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Law and justice will reign all throughout our land. Freedom will be restored. The flame of liberty will be burning bright. Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, will be a fading memory of the past, and our great silent majority, including the once forgotten men and women of our country, will be the ones shaping America's magnificent future when I am the 47th president of the United States. Because we are all Americans, and together we will show November 5th to be the most important day in the history of America. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America free again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much, Virginia. God bless you all. Thank you.
That's like a good old pastor, man, when church is over. You know about what time it is. We get to talk about what we're gonna do. We're gonna make America great again. Let's get up out of here. Like I said, last night was a wonderful night, and it's a beautiful day. Happy Friday to y'all. I just wanted to go ahead and put that on display for y'all today because we deserve it. We really do. I appreciate everybody who has came through and pulled up on Twitch, on Rumble, on X, on YouTube today to watch this with us, man. I love you guys. I really appreciate it so much. We're going to get up out of here. I'm contemplating doing a live tonight. I'm not quite sure, but we're going to try to get some things done. I'm going to try to get back in here and have some fun with y'all tonight. If not, don't blame it on me. Life happens. But we'll be doing our thing at some point this weekend, most likely. Sunday, but maybe tonight, depending on how things go and how I'm feeling. If I ain't got no cold like Joe Biden and fuck shit up, So this has been Provoked Thoughts. This has been Donald Trump. This has been a hell of a 2 days. And I guess I will go ahead and see you guys later. You all have a nice Friday. I got some things to do real quick, and I'll holler at y'all. Y'all be cool.